Hey, we should host another group build sponsored by the podcast.
Sure, but it needs to be a race car this time.
Yeah, something that can race on asphalt or dirt.
And night and different types of weather. That would be pretty cool.
And can fly.
Wait, what?
What you talking about, BG?
Hey, I got it. Rally cars.
Yes.
What date should we run the build for?
How about January 31st? It can start and go to December 31st. That's a good amount of time.
Sure, I can work with that.
Okay, but I gotta say, I'm a little concerned about the defying gravity thing. I haven't had much luck in that lately.
Join the Scale Model Car Podcast 2025 Rally Cool Rally Car Group Build and build that rally car model kit that's been sitting on your shelf ever since you brought it home from the hobby store and said, I'm gonna build that one day, because now is your chance.
How's it going, all you scale model car junkies out there? Welcome to the Scale Model Car Podcast with your hosts, BG, Chuck, Luka, and Jason.
Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Scale Model Car Podcast. This is your friend, Mr. BG, along with your hosts, Chuck from Chuck's Hobby Spot,
I guess.
Matt from the Luka C channel,
Heidi ho.
and Jason from Blue Ox Model Shop.
Hi, guys.
And we have a fifth wheel on our model car today. Please welcome Model Car Muse himself, Mr. Doug Whyte.
Hey, everybody.
Doug, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate that, sir. And we are deeply honored by your presence today, because you are a hero to many here.
Yes.
Okay.
Super humble.
Said that a little bit.
Not even sure how to react to that.
Well, 14 seconds in, and I've already made it weird. Yay!
Just one of the guys that loves plastic.
Oh, man, I love that. Me too. Me too. All
I'm
right,
with
so
you.
we are going to start off with our round table. We're going to go around, and each of us gets a chance to talk a little bit about what we either have going on our channel or on our bench. So we'll go ahead and start with Chuck.
Well, I just showed you guys. I am doing the 43rd scale little memorial build that we're doing for Mike Alvarez. And I've got clear on those, paint and clear. I've got the rims all painted. I have been 3D printing some stuff lately, some figures. So I've been getting ready to do my next figure. And I'm getting ready to remodel my room again.
Really?
Is it that time of year already?
Yeah, I kind of want to do some deep cleaning in my hobby room and remodel a little bit. Well, I got Susan in here now, so I'm trying to make it comfortable. I'm putting some new lighting up in here.
Oh, good.
That's why I took today off, but my brother came up, so I didn't get to get the lighting in. So,
If you need anybody tall, let me know.
I will.
I know a guy. Right on, brother. So you're going to be rearranging your room, looking for some parts that you might have lost on the floor here and there?
I think so. I don't know how much stuff I'll move. I just need to get better organized again. Every few months, I just get really cluttered. And I don't like building a model when it's cluttered, you know. It makes it overwhelms my building a little bit. So I kind of like a clean workspace, and
I totally get that.
It's that time again.
I totally get that. Especially when I finish a build, I want to just clean off the desk. Like I just do the sweep, clean everything off the desk, and start over fresh.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you, Chuck. Matt, what have you got going on, sir?
Oh, I have got an unfinished USAC build.
Join the club.
Yeah. I still have that kind of sitting there, but I kind of took a little break from it since I missed the deadline, and I wanted to get back onto my 911, and I want to finish that up. It needs a couple of this and that. I want to have that done, so I just felt like getting back on that and finishing it up. And as far as the channel, you know, I got my usual stuff going on, but I got a really, really cool video. I'm not in it, but I basically am the producer and editor of it, that I'm doing with the Auto Modeler magazine with Scott Calmer, and he interviews two interesting fellows. And this thing, yep, we're all set. And it's going to be a really cool interview. Very, very good stuff in this, and it's with I won't say who it is. I think Doug knows, but it's gonna be a neat thing. That there's first going to be a written version of the interview in the magazine, upcoming magazine, and then my video will come out. That'll be, more of that interview, which it's about an hour long, and I definitely, when it comes, everybody will know what it is, and I highly recommend you take a listen to it, because it's a lot of good stuff and a lot of good model car, things in it.
I'm definitely looking forward to listening and reading both articles, segments.
Yeah, article and the video.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they put the sound effects in the written version like we do in your.
That's the only place we're putting the sound effects. It's going to be in the written version,
okay.
But the video is completely void of sound effects.
Bonk, zap, boink.
Yeah, right. I don't even have sound effects for this special effect I got going on here.
I know that's the
sunspots. I don't know.
Only Matt.
I still haven't updated my equipment. I need
for our listeners, Matt's screen is slowly I don't know, glitching, but it looks like the Enterprise is trying to beam him up, but they can't get a lock on him.
I was gonna say, I think he looks a lot like Luka Headroom.
I was just gonna say that from the Pepsi thing.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that.
That's great. Well, let's go to our guest, Mr. Doug. What do you have going on your channel and/or bench?
And/or bench. Let's see. On the channel, not a lot on the bench, because we're kind of running half speed because of family situation.
Understood.
But we're getting every other week. We get on Friday afternoon a Model Car Muse video comes out, and I have a Patreon channel that is there to thank all the people that have contributed to us to help us along. And that comes out, Friday mornings. It's a short video. It's basically what's on the bench or something else. And those are primers for what will eventually be on Model Car Muse. Okay. We do a lot of tests and experiments to see what works well and what was fun to do. Subject-wise, there's a little more building going on because we've had just such a library full of model car history. We did those videos. We did 4 in a row of the NNL East recently. And that was just to let everyone know how it all started, where it's going, some of the back end of what goes on to produce the whole NNL East.
Oh, that is really, really cool, because don't know what goes on.
Real neat.
Yeah, I mean, there's an award they give. It's the John Slavoski Award, and a lot of people don't know who John was.
Right.
Okay. So this kind of gets the record out there. He was an important guy, or a good visionary for the hobby on the East Coast.
Well, I think it's really important to explain where those special awards come from, because maybe the local chapters would know, but the folks at large might not. So that's a great way of educating the masses then. And it just makes folks want that award even more,
I figure it's out there, it's available for anyone to watch, and it's just history that's nailed down forever. As long as YouTube exists, I suppose.
Right. I don't, knock on all the woods, I don't see this going anywhere soon.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing we're working on is I'm on the steering committee for the Model Car Builders Museum in Utah.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And they're in the process of moving and joining into another museum. It's not signed, but it's pretty much done. The packing has started.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to have the announcement soon when it's official. But we have a ton, like a terabyte of video to put up on that, to edit and then put up.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that's like hours and hours. And they've actually hired some people out there to do some videography for us. and that'll get incorporated in there, along with the history of all the individual bits and stuff and how it's being organized.
That's awesome, man. Are you allowed to say where they're moving, or is that something you got to keep under wraps for right now?
I'm supposed to keep it under wraps, even though it's a lot of people have been talking about it.
Okay.
It's
I guess I haven't listened to those folks.
The agreement that we have on the committee with Mark Gustafson is that we don't say anything officially until it's all signed off.
Okay. Good deal.
As far as I'm concerned, it's as good as signed off. But
so if they're going through the process,
before we know for sure.
Okay, but if they're going through the process of packing and everything, then did the museum in Utah already close, or is that in the process of shutting down?
I suppose if you wanted to go there, you could contact them and you could go. Okay. But I don't know what there is as of yesterday. Just what's packed and what hasn't been packed up.
Okay.
But the cool thing about the museum is it's, you go in there and you see the, all these models that you saw in like the model magazines in the 60s.
Yeah.
They're packed with trophies that were like 4 feet tall. And Oakland Roadster showed a diorama that Ken Hamilton made.
I saw a video of that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some good footage on that with it lit, because whoever did the lighting, well, it must have been Ken Hamilton. When that was done, it was before LEDs.
Yeah.
The lights are just this warm tone glow, and they look so nice.
Yeah.
And on the wall there was, you remember the Revell parts packs?
Yes.
There's a sample of every Revell parts pack on the wall.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
That's cool. Wow. And we won't see those ever again, will we? Because that stuff all got sold off.
I suppose. I mean, if the tooling is out there, I would like to see it be shot again. But a lot of that is within those kits that I guess Atlantis. Yeah.
Atlantis.
Yeah.
Because like the hot rod bodies, the Roadster, the Bantam Roadster, and the T, and then the engines that go with that are in that kit. Really, we're all kind of parts spec stuff anyway.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's really cool that we now know that it has a home, which is good.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Just knowing it has a home.
Yeah. Well, we have a member that was a member of Classic Plastic, but he passed away a number of years ago, has a couple of builds that are actually in the museum.
Yes.
And the talk in the club was, I really hope that they find a home for that, because we don't want those models to just be packed away and never to be seen again. So it's really good that they found a home. I'm excited to hear and see what happens with that.
And it's a very stable home, which was good. I mean, not only are they enthusiastic and knowledgeable, it's very stable, which is important. I was, one of the places I suggested was the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Why not shoot high and see where that goes?
Right. Yeah. Swing for the fences, see what happens. Yeah.
I guess we never approached them, but it was obvious that a lot of places, think what we make are just toys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's really not the story.
No, certainly not.
Yeah.
It's all about the builders and the scratch building and all that goes on behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got family members, in-laws that are like, "Oh yeah, you're messing with those toys again, right?" I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short answer, yes with a but. Long answer, no with a maybe.
Right.
Or when they say, when I was waiting at the line in CVS, I saw this and I got it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
They're on the end cap.
Right. It's like, thanks. I always wanted this Atlantis Frogman kit.
I always thought that would be a good challenge for a group build.
Me too. The kit you didn't want to get.
The wackiest die-cast thing from an end cap in a store like that and make something out of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, we all have stashes of weird stuff that just sort of showed up under the Christmas tree or on a birthday or whatever. And
Yeah.
before I met Linda, half my stash was that stuff. And then she's like, you should invest in better kits. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. Sounds good to me.
She's a great enabler. I love her.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Doug. And Jason, what have you got going on, sir?
Well, so we're still plugging away on the Subaru Rally Cool group build. I didn't get a lot done this week because actually I'm on the same page as Chuck. And a lot of you know that we have cats, and I had to shut the cats out of this room because the little orange one was actually eating parts off of my built models. So the room has become what we affectionately call the forbidden zone. They're not allowed in here anymore. So I took advantage of the time when it was shut off.
Did you say forbidden zone?
Forbidden zone. Yes.
Nicely done, Chuck.
Or Heather calls it the forbidden realm. It's a D&D thing. I took advantage of the time and cleared everything out of here and did a deep clean. I've moved everything out of the room, vacuumed all the corners, washed the floors, dusted everything. That kept me busy all week. So
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it had to be done. It really did. It's amazing. You think your room is clean, and then you move something, and you're like, okay, I'm not. That might actually be another cat. I better vacuum that up.
Didn't know we had 4 cats.
Right.
A lot of my stuff is on wheels, so I can theoretically move it out of the way and clean underneath it, but that hasn't really happened yet. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, that's what we've been doing. I mean, I'm trying to take my time and weather this car. I want to make it look like it's run a stage or two, so I'm weathering the individual skid plates underneath and just taking my time because there's no deadline on it, right? Just the end of the year. So
yeah,
I can take my time on this one as much as you guys probably don't believe that. But
taking your time on that still means it's going to get done before I've even gotten halfway done with mine.
I'd like to have it done in the next couple of weeks. So yeah,
I'm not even on that timeline, man.
Overachiever.
I thought I'd had another day left to go on my dart. No, here it is. Thursday past the deadline or Friday past the deadline, and I'm like, I'm still staring at it. So
well,
I'm seeing a lot of people slowly still dropping their darts. Not Chuck dropping.
Oh gosh, Chuck, what did you do?
Chuck drop is now in my vernacular.
Right. Well, if you think about it, the deadline's passed, right? So why would you have to rush through it at this point?
Exactly.
Because I'm getting on a plane Tuesday to go to Colorado so I can attend a show and debut it there.
Are you telling me it's going to be done before Tuesday?
No, I'm probably going to finish it in the hotel room the night before. See if I can smuggle some model glue on the plane.
Oh, I bet you can buy some over there. So.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I might know a guy.
Maybe.
Right,
but that's it.
Good, dude. I'm glad you got your room kind of sorted out, though. And unfortunately, you had to make it a cat-free zone.
I'm jealous.
I couldn't deal with or bear the fact that Heather would worry constantly because he would constantly be eating stuff that he shouldn't be eating. It's like, was that toxic? Is that going to be bad for him?
Right.
Never mind the fact that I have to fix a model, right? That doesn't matter. It's the fact that he would be sick. So,
and little off topic, but my sister's cat has been diagnosed with some sort of weird ailment because he's been eating plastic around the house also.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Was I on a hangout with you, a private hangout? He got into my stash.
Yes.
Like up in the middle of it. Pushed a couple of model kits out the back and got into the middle of it and started to eat the wrapping on the model kit. And I'm like, okay, I'm either going to have to unwrap every model I have, or we're gonna have to banish him. So
Well, he's just going to get a taste for cardboard then.
Mm.
Yeah, basically.
It's a model sandwich. Let's see.
With soy ink, so it's healthy.
Oh, nice.
But I'm allergic to soy. Let's see. So over here at the BG Model Workshop, we're hastily trying to get some stuff finished because, again, we are going to be climbing onto a plane to go to Colorado for a week, see family, and then go to the show that's up there, the Mile High Open. And we are working diligently on the Dart. I'm actually stopped to do the podcast, so you guys are in my way. But the decals did not do well on the back. They cracked in the center. I'm doing this the bumblebee stripe on the back end of this guy, and they cracked in the center, and they cracked just over the driver's side fender, and they cracked again on the driver's side quarter panel side. So, which is fine. It's actually helping me out because we are going to do this one slightly weathered.
Yeah,
it's going to give it a little bit of a BG.
Yeah,
and then so we're working on that. Once we get that kind of weathered up and the windows in, and listen, time because everything else is ready to go. Our interior is all done, and we did that Hesagawa foil that Matt had given us for the rear package shelf, and then the rear seat area where the rear seat's deleted. And we actually did seat harnesses, racing harnesses, and we have a VCG resin B&M shifter and some model car video seats in there. We have a Iceman engine ready to go in there. We're going to show that here real quick, but that's the Hemi Hillborn.
Nice.
Wired up and got the exhaust all figured out and everything, so we're really happy with that. And I was thinking, it was like, can I get this in the Mini? I know. We might go in a different direction with that, but we got the wheels all chrome painted with the Revell chrome.
Wow!
Wow! Nice job.
Yeah.
Revell chrome's nice.
I'll pass that on to the paint, and then so I'm like, I got all the subgroups built. I just need to get my camera to focus again. Whatever. But this is blurry as I am. But yeah, so I'm just struggling with all the little final assembly things, and then moving on to getting it done and then doing the weathering thing. So, but I did have an issue because I put a really cool looking tachometer on the dash, and then I thought, okay, cool, let's put the windows in and then do a mock-up. And sure enough, as soon as I sandwiched everything together, the front windshield popped that tachometer off the dash because there wasn't enough throw in there. So I was like,
so how did you fix that?
I actually had to repaint the dash at 11 o'clock last night.
Okay.
And actually, it doesn't look so bad. It looks pretty good, actually. But the tack, I have the tack mounted on a little piece of cardstock, which is really hard to see here. But I have it mounted on a little piece of cardstock, and then that's going to get painted up in aluminum color, and then that's going to be like sticking out of the dash from the underside. So
I had to do that on the green Dart that I built. Because same issue, right? So one of my cousin's race cars, he has a tack mounted on a piece of polished aluminum that sticks out like this far off the dash pad of the Malibu. And I was like, that's going to be perfect if I can replicate it, which is what I had to do because you can't fit a tack on that dash. It's too narrow.
I'd seen cars in magazine stuff where it's actually like on the cowl.
Yeah.
Up here on the cowl.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool, but the tack isn't painted that nicely. So
right. Yeah.
Let's not display that as prominently as I thought I might. But I was thinking about running the tachometer wire down through one of the because I drilled out the holes for the windshield wipers.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'll run the tachometer wire down through one of the windshield wiper holes. And I was like, oh, that's clever. No. No, let's just get her done. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. And the channel, I haven't done anything in like 2 weeks. So perhaps you've noticed. Me. Yeah. I'm on the Chuck timeline for videos. Got one planned by the end of the year.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I am dropping the ball in that realm.
But I'm going to just say this, and Matt, you can take this out if you don't want to add this in there. But Matt and I got a chance to tour Andy's workshop, new headquarters yesterday.
He's fine with it.
So we got a chance to tour Andy's new headquarters, world headquarters, and it is phenomenal. It's big. I can walk around with my hands over my head and not touch anything. It's great.
Nice.
So
we were, and oh my goodness, we were walking through that whole gigantic back area, and he has everything.
Everything.
Best
everything.
He has everything now.
Nice.
Yep. And Denise knows where it's all at.
She sure does, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's awesome. It was fun talking to her.
Yeah,
all right, cool. So that's going to wrap up our round table. But now we're going to go on to the super sweet stash shelf stuff, where we each get to pick a kit or two to talk about. And let's start with Mr. Gisson.
All right. So I'm going to pick a kit or three. I was gifted this by my cousin. There it is.
Ooh.
And I remembered what Chuck said. Chuck said you need to grab every Ferrari kit that you can. So I did. I don't know. It's not really my thing, but I got it anyway because Chuck said so.
Because I said so.
Yeah. Then this one.
Very good kit.
Monogram 59 Impala hardtop. That looks like a very cool kit, and I hear it's a nice one. So
and they're not cheap anymore.
No.
No, really?
No. They're because a lot of the lowrider guys are buying those up, and it's getting expensive.
That makes sense.
I sent one to my buddy Leon over there at Model Cars 1589. He was looking for one of those.
Really?
Hooked him up good. Yep.
Oh, I got hooked up with this one. It was free, so I'm not complaining.
That's a beautiful kit, dude. The engine detail on that is awesome.
Really? Now, see, now I want to build that next.
Do it as a rally car.
Squirrels.
Oh yeah.
And then I actually purchased this kit. This I thought would be a nice, like, in between quick build because it's not a full detail kit, but it's the Mitsubishi GTO twin turbo. I like these cars a lot, and I'm told this kit has both left and right hand dashes, and it has 3000 GT emblems.
I think it does.
So you could build it. You could build it either way. You could build it as a GTO or a 3000 GT, which is.
And if I remember correctly, Zoom-On has the window masks and I think a carpet kit for it.
Oh, they sure do. I already bought them. They're on the way.
Perfect.
I might be addicted to that Zoom-On stuff. That might be the worst thing you could have shown me, Brian.
You're welcome. Always happy to create more zombies.
Yeah, right. So, but that's what we got over the last 2 weeks.
Sweet, dude. It's always awesome when you get something in the mail, right?
It is always awesome. And it's very depressing when you don't, which makes me spend more money because I.
Did you like to be happy?
I like to be happy. Yes.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to Chuck.
Well, I don't know if I showed this stuff, but I bought a full line of inks because I do a lot of figures.
Oh, nice.
I also went to Andy's and bought some of his vintage kits. I don't know if anybody remembers these.
Yeah.
I bought the whole series down there, probably 2 sets of them.
Wow.
And
whole series?
But there's 6 in it. And the Sand Dragon, I think, was the hardest one to get because they only had it in the first series. I was able to grab one of them too. So I bought like 2 sets of those, I think, right, Matt? Maybe 2 sets.
Yeah.
Wow.
That one that you had, the milk truck, that was the one you didn't get that the first time. Didn't I have to hunt that one down?
No. You found another one after I bought 3.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
All right. As long as we got that straight.
And
now you
I
know
love these things. So another enthusiast kit. So
nice. I
love this Porsche.
For our listeners, which one's that?
This one is I'm sorry. It's the 356BC Carrera.
By
Nice.
Fujimi?
Yeah, it's a Fujimi kit.
Sweet. It's the one with the
one
red
of
box
those
art.
enthusiast kits.
Yes,
Oh,
I
my
love
goodness,
them.
I love those kits.
Yeah, that's about it. So, but I will be spending a lot more money at the Mile High. I'm sure. I'm saving my money, guys.
I might,
Nice.
if I have to, can I buy some space in your car to run stuff back for us?
You might have to.
I might have to.
Hey,
Just in case.
didn't that happen when we were at Salt Lake City? We were piling. We had to
that
split
wasn't-
the.
that
Yeah,
wasn't me.
Yeah, but me and Mark had vans there, and we both had to
Yeah.
split the space because everybody wanted us to bring stuff home. And I had John Teresi with me, and I had Chris Soback with me, and we were all putting stuff in everybody else's because they were auctioning. They had that auction over there.
Right.
Yeah.
And
John Teresi does not travel light when it comes to models.
No.
either.
And you gotta totally strategically place stuff around his stuff.
Yes.
It's called playing Tetris.
Yeah.
After my UPS package handling won't come in handy. The UPS package handling experience. Just kick it.
Yeah. No, that was like the last time Tim Ryan, myself, and another club member went to NNL East in my wife's Corolla. Totally didn't think about it. We were just like going nuts. We spent like $500, right? Just kept going out and throwing stuff in the car. And then at the end of the day, we walked out. We were like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
there's no room.
Yeah. Okay. So years ago, we were at Costco and they had this really awesome flat screen TV, huge, giant wall size thing. Great price. We're like, oh yeah, we get it. And we get out to the car and we're like, oh, we brought the Challenger, not the Outback. We took it back in and returned it so I could go. Well, we took it back in and Linda stood there and I went home and changed cars and came back.
Oh my goodness.
But when we were up at NNL East, the time we got to hang out with Doug and met Jason, my good friend Tim Baumgard was there and he mailed stuff home for us.
Nice.
And he did it through his company. So he's like, yeah, in order to make this an official thing, you need to buy something from my company. So he sent me a link to his webpage. So I bought a bottle of Formula 560 canopy glue, and he sent me this gigantic box with the canopy glue and all these model kits in it.
Perfect.
And then our last time up there visiting Jason and stuff, well, we didn't expect. I just took a regular suitcase, whatever. Bought this model kit, bought that model kit. Somebody gives me this, Jason gives me that, and next thing you know, Heather has to send us home a box. I told Linda, I'm like, I tried to be good. I tried.
Was it that time or was it another time that we sent you that box and you were like, how much did it cost? I was like, it was like $100 to send. You were like, what?
Right. Yeah, that was a time because I told Linda, she goes, we could have just bought a second suitcase. I'm like, well, it's lessons learned,
Exactly.
Yeah. Fun times, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
Utah, that auction they had, man, I bought so much stuff from that.
So,
oh man,
let's put a pin in that and come back to it because I got a question about that here in a second. But let's get on with the stash thing. See, Jason, we covered Chuck. How about you, Doug? Do you have anything to share?
Sure. Speaking of, it's funny, we're all pulling out these enthusiast kits. This is one I'm going to build at some point.
Oh yeah.
Was that the GTO
like
Ferrari?
Yeah,
it has a decent engine.
I have that one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a great
I
kit.
have like a Revell Testers GTO, which it's not as crisp, it's not as nice, it doesn't have a great motor, but I'm going to be able to build this as the only yellow one someday.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
which was the works car, the test car, and then I'll do the other one do that in the traditional red.
Very cool.
Any idea why there was only the one yellow one?
It was like a test car that the factory held on to for a long time.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know they only did one in yellow.
I don't know why it was yellow. Either to differentiate it from the others in history, or had some body damage and got repainted, and yellow was the color in the gun that day. I don't know.
Nice. So does that car still exist?
Yeah, it ended up in California.
Oh, nice.
California
Oh, okay.
plates on it. So
I bet it was easier to see on the track in yellow.
see. I have a whole Ferrari thing on Ferrari colors, and I like yellow a lot.
Nice.
That's one of my favorites. And I grew up overseas in Europe and began to appreciate Ferraris not in red.
Hmm.
Oh,
You
nice.
look at what was in Europe in the 70s, most of them were blue, few were green. There's certainly a lot of yellow and, of course, some red. But and brown was like a big color, especially on Daytonas. So I have a friend who's a car restorer, and he always calls me over and goes, okay, I'm working on this Ferrari or Maserati. The color doesn't matter. What do you think? And we'll sit there and we'll pick out a color and upholstery and the piping for the upholstery, because he knows it's like, I'm just not going to sit there and go, yeah, red with a, creamy interior.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun when I get to do that. But this one, that's the plan, is to do, because it has a great engine. I want to build it with the engine outside of the car.
Oh.
Because I have a lot of
Yeah.
magazines from the mid 80s, Italian magazines that have good close-up engine shots. And my thing is displaying the engine outside of the car, because it's, we're all about the engine.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, yeah, a little bit sticks out of the hood on some of them, but you want to close the hood and appreciate the lines of the car, but then you don't see the engine when it's sitting on the shelf. So
That's
I want to
a
get
really good point.
outside. So, and that's one of the things on the Patreon channel, which is kind of that preview for what goes on Model Car Muse. I do a vote every once in a while as to what to build next. And I'll pull out 3 kits and people get to vote. And that GTO was one of them.
That's
and
so
it was
cool.
like the votes were rolling in, GTO. Oh, yeah. And then it was like, after about 3 days, the remaining votes were for something else, which I can't talk about yet, but it'll be out there soon. And it was amazing how it was like the initial stuff was for the GTO. Everything else went in another direction. I was like, okay. So I like a collaboration when I build. I like other people's input. When they tell me, there was a version of that car, like especially rally cars. I want to do an 110 Alpine sometime that is like the Monte Carlo version, but I don't know yet from what year. In any event, there's another one that was also voted on, which is, and I tell people, this is the best.
Oh, that's way cool.
In 1/1 scale ever of a car.
Yes.
A lot of people couldn't accept it because it was just different.
Yeah.
Think 1955. This is a car with inboard disc brakes and, torsion bar suspension, tube shocks, really, really well engineered. And it was hydraulic suspension.
Right.
So, the daddy of all lowriders.
Right.
So this one.
Single spoke steering wheel too.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever ridden in one of these, there's nothing like it. They're just smooth as could be.
Oh, man.
Now there's a guy, I can't think of his first name, Chaperon. He worked for all these old school car designers before the Second World War. All the ones with the bubbly fenders and all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy. He was there. He was a designer. He knew fabrication. And after the Second World War, those companies kind of just dwindled out. He started his own company. And one of the things he would do was modify Citroens like this. And he was one of the first guys to start just whacking the roof off and making a convertible, a 2-door convertible. So I'd probably convert this into a 2-door convertible.
Nice.
Just
Did you have to shorten the wheelbase at all?
No, the wheelbase stays the same, but it goes from being a 4-door to a 2-door.
Okay.
And they're just super smooth looking. They're really amazing. And this guy's daughter, I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she posts stuff all the time about the company's history. Of course, her father passed away.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's going to be a great tribute for him.
Yeah, I can't wait to build it. But here's the problem. This company, Ebro, If you've ever seen any of their kits, they were a bunch of Tamiya engineers that split from the company, started this company.
Really?
And their kits were so well engineered, crisp. The tooling was amazing. They went together easy and had a huge parts count.
Yeah.
But they unfortunately apparently have gone out of business. I don't know if they're in receivership situation or what it is, or if they'll get bought up. But these kits were expensive to start. They were like $75.
Yeah.
Now they're just, it's cubic money to buy one.
Kind of like
so I'm afraid to cut it up in a way.
Right.
That sounds like they're kind of the wingnut wings of model cars.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice airplane reference, Matt.
Yeah, very good.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Somebody reads.
Either reads or has been talking to one of the Insanity guys.
Right. Hang out with Andy.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So I heard a tale a while ago that like the BBC, I believe it was the BBC, used those Citroens as the follow cars for horse racing, and they had the TV cameras mounted on the top because they were the most stable vehicle that could float over like, uneven terrain and such with that really fancy hydraulic suspension.
Oh, no kidding.
I heard that it was on a Top Gear episode, so take that with a grain of salt.
Well, was it original Top Gear?
Yeah, it was original Top Gear.
Then I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that I love those Citroen DS19s.
Yeah.
They're so space agey.
Yeah.
They're so I hope so because it's so wild. But they're so space agey.
Pardon?
They're so space agey.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But for 1955, I mean, you basically were looking at a car, a Chevy or a Ford that's kind of like shaped like a brick.
Right.
These things came out and they were low and they didn't have big motors, but they were plenty fast.
Right.
Super aerodynamic.
Yeah.
And the transmissions and drivetrains of those, when guys like Cooper in Grand Prix Formula One racing then went to rear engine cars, they went with Citroen gearboxes.
Oh.
Because it was already transaxle. They were really stout. They were also used in trucks.
Wow.
And they were all synchro and everything. So
that's cool. I didn't realize
they were there
cool.
from the beginning on that.
I was just thinking about the comparison between the Citroen DS19 and like a regular American car from that time, and it's definitely Flintstones and Jetsons.
Oh yeah,
I'm a child, so.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they have the European Cars in Carlisle in Pennsylvania, which is a 72-acre car show. And when the Citroen guys get there, they always have one guy that takes his DS, and you take off one of the back wheels, and you set the lock on the other wheel suspension-wise on the ride height. You take one of the back wheels off, and you drive around without the back wheel. Yeah. Of course, everyone there's like, oh yeah, here comes the Citroen without the back wheel.
That's great.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So in Britain, it would qualify as a motorcycle then if it's only got 3 wheels.
Right.
It's a tax break.
Yeah, that sounds like something they do in Connecticut. I tell you, it's got 3 wheels. That's the best.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's an awesome kit, dude, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. Even if you just build it box stock. Or if you modify it a little bit, it's going to be an awesome build to watch.
Yeah, thanks. I can't wait. I can't wait to get to it. Because it has. See, the reason one reason to lose the roof is the interior tooling is so nice.
Okay.
We've all built amazing dashboards, and we're like, oh yeah, this is real cool going in, and you're the last person that gets to see it. But the best part of that for us is we're happier with the build than anything else.
Right.
That's a good reason for a convertible.
And you don't have to worry about putting a tachometer on the dashboard on that one fitting correctly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing, Doug. Appreciate that. Matt, have we gotten to you yet? No? Let's do Matt.
Let's do Matt. All right. Well, as far as a kit, my recent, I think since the last time we talked, is I got one of these, but I got lots of these. But this is not to say Dale Earnhardt's name, Richard Childress Racing, for legal purposes. The car that Dale ran in the beginning of the 89 season, which was very weird season because they didn't have the Lumina quite ready to roll. And so for the first 7 or 9 races, all the Chevy teams ran the old Chevrolet, but there were changes in the NASCAR rules for 89 that they could do a lot more aerodynamic stuff to the front. So it was a neat year for the last of the Monte Carlo because they could really shape these things, and they looked really cool in the 89 season. And it was the first year that Dale ran the Whyte 3. Before that, it was over.
I didn't know that.
This was just such a cool car because the monogram, beautiful kits, love them, got lots of them. You know, they're pretty generic. It's still kind of more 86 specs on the body, so there's work to be done to massage it to get it correct to the way they were in by 89. But heck, that's half the fun of model building, right?
Right.
So I actually want to build this car and just do the reshaping that needs to be done. And
that's a really cool kit, though.
It is a great kit. It's a very cool kit.
And I bet it's really nice because it's a J.R. Salvino's kit.
Yeah, there you go. Here, real quick, I'll just change the hat then. So
it's like watching NASCAR.
It is. Wow.
And then I picked up, you know, if anybody watches my channel, I know you guys don't, but I did that video on those fairly new AK Real Colors markers, and I just had the steel one, you know, the metallic ones, which was aluminum, dark aluminum, and gunmetal.
I thought you said you had the steel one.
Oh yeah, well I
steel
did.
One.
Yeah, Chuck's got the whole set. But
Of
I went
course he
over to
does.
Andy because he sells them separately, and I picked up the flat black.
They're great.
It went when I was testing those out. That was the first time I ever really used them when I did my video, and I was like, "Man, I got to go get this flat black because this will be great for a 911 build." Doing all the
and when you go out to see
Hey,
kids,
what's a 911?
It's one of those German cars. But anyways,
What kind of German car, Matt?
One by you know, it's kind of like a Volkswagen, but not. So there's this other item that I've been wanting to try out is I've really been liking the Mr. Hobby clears out of the cans. And it was Jim Drew who he like that's his go-to now. He does the UV cut that we've all now talked about and played with.
It's great stuff.
There's this one that is the top coat that's water based. If you guys can see this, water based. And I got an idea, and this is actually a matte color, the flat, basically. But it has my name right there.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So I got to thinking a little issue I had. I have these wheels I want to do that was for my Dart that are, you know, like centerline wheels or really actually Krager Super Street. What are those Super Tricks?
Super Tricks, yes.
So they're very chrome. And I've had in the past where I like to shoot those with a matte clear, and that gives them more of that aluminum look that they really have. But I wanted to do, and if you take your panel liner or whatever after you've cleared them, it kind of like ruins it, you know. It takes the you know, just it kind of takes the clear away. I thought with this water base, I could go ahead and do all my little dabs with the panel liner, and then maybe this I could flatten it and would work out a lot better. So it's a little experiment I'm going to play with to see if that works. If anything, this might really be nice to use to put over decals that might possibly crack on you or something.
Oh, nice.
So
As long
that's
as it's
something
not
to have
water-soluble.
pretty cool use. But I thought, hey, let's try this water-based one out. Since I've been buying all their other ones and giving them a shot, and real happy with the product. So that's what I brought home the past couple weeks. So.
Right
Great
on.
stuff.
Good stuff. That stuff won't be water soluble once it's cured, right?
Usually not. You know, it's just the water base. That's just that's what do you call it? It's the transportation of the product.
Carrier.
The carrier. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I
I wanted to Wanted to see if you were going to dig out of that one.
Thank you, my friend.
Here's a life preserver. Whoop, whoop.
That's Matt's what's the facts for today.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Well, I hear you guys asking silently, but BG, what do you have to talk about today? I have this guy. This is an Academy.
Oh,
Ooh.
lift it up. Lift it up.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
man,
this
that's
is
cool.
the 250 LM, and LM stands for Le Mans.
Le Mans.
And so this is for the maternity clinic, the Le Mans.
Hold on a minute. I think I feel a Ferrari build coming on. That's
Boy, we all got Ferraris.
4 out of 5 of us have a Ferrari.
Yeah.
That we were just talking about.
This is actually out of Mrs. BG's stash. She didn't want to build anymore. So
I was gonna say, does she know you took it?
Yeah, she's like, I want to build this. I'm like, well, I'm not. Get that here. So it's a little dusty, but this kit has some beautiful decals, and it has photo etched bezels for the headlights.
Oh, nice.
So that's pretty nice. It is a curbside. Doesn't even have the hint of an engine detail. But so I won't be building it and displaying it alongside like Doug's going to do. But yeah, it's actually got pretty good looking wire wheels. And I'm hoping that this little guy here is a nice little palette cleanser type of build after dealing with this dart.
Hey, that dart's coming out nice.
Thank you. And then in the world of aftermarket, we were visiting our good friend Billy Strange in California. And he was showing us these really awesome little films you can get. And it's an adhesive back film that you can cut up. So we got like a mirror finish. So we can do some chrome. Hey, look, there's my camera. And then we got like some red and some orange for doing like turn signal lenses and taillight lenses. Because sometimes painting that stuff, like on the back of a 911 Ferdinand, where you have the big giant red Porsche logo in the back there. You don't want to paint that because it's gonna, with the Tamiya paints, it can kind of coffee stain here and there, whatever. It won't be so you can trim one of these things, one of these transparent films, and tack that in there a lot easier. So we're gonna try those. And we got those from Plaza Japan. Ordered them, came in 2 weeks, 14 days exactly. They showed up, so that was really fast.
That's not bad.
So it's good to know that Chuck's mailman is not internationally employed.
Yes.
Nice.
Good thing.
So there we go. All right. Well, thanks guys for sharing. Let's move on to Northeast Model Car Report / show coverage. Jason?
/ show coverage, because that's all we're going to talk about this time. I have quite a list of shows.
Did the Chevy truck come in yet?
It's not
I'm sorry, what show is that? So coming up really quick. I mean, like, this may have happened before this podcast airs, but on the slight chance that it might not have, I'm going to talk about it anyway. March 23rd, Model Cars and Coffee, hosted by Ricky Wallace Jr. That's held at the Leesport Farmers Market, 312 Gurnett Church Road in Leesport, Pennsylvania. This is a non-competitive event, which is really cool.
Yeah. I am looking forward to finding out how that thing turns out.
I am too, because as you guys know, but the world doesn't yet, I'm toying with the idea of doing a non-competitive type of deal up here in this region of New Hampshire, which is going to be
fantastic.
A first for up here. We'll see how that plays out.
I'd be happy to sponsor all the awards for that.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. I'll just send you the bill for the coffee.
Okay.
Then March 29th, the Mile High Open. You guys are going to be there, hosted by the Outcast Plastic Modelers, being held at the Farney Museum of Transportation in Denver, Colorado. Those are our friends. And I believe BG and I are sponsoring awards.
That's right.
So am I.
Yeah. Oh, you are too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome, dude. That's cool. So
and
I'm
also
sponsored the Master
I'm
Award.
not. I'm a miser. I don't.
Yeah. Well, it's cool.
Yeah, well, we kind of know
He's
that.
taking
So
some of my stuff up there. I mean, I had to make BG pay for it, but he's taking some of my product up there for them to
I
wrap.
can't believe I had to leave a deposit in order to take the parts off his hands so I could send them up to Denver for him.
nice.
Yeah, that's how I roll, you know.
Actually, Joel is actually with Iceman Resins is actually sponsoring the category too.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
Yes,
And I think he sent some stuff up there too for the raffle.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Dang. All very good information that nobody wanted to share with me before this. Just kidding.
Who are you?
I'm
Yeah.
nobody. Next on the list is April 6th, Down East Con 25. That's hosted by the Southern Maine Scale Modelers and IPMS chapter, being held in Sanford, Maine at the Memorial Gym, 678 Main Street. Heather and I will be in attendance at that show. So stop in and say hi if you're in the Maine, Southern New Hampshire area. This show we're going to talk about in the next segment. I don't know why I put it in my notes. April 12th, FleetCon 21, Call of the Wild. That's hosted by the IPMS Alexander Lipschitz chapter, held at the Bernadette Center, 766 North Maple Street in Monticello, Iowa. Go check that out if you're in the area. Another April 12th show, the Desert Scale Classic, hosted by the Cactus Car Modelers Club, and it's being held at the Phoenix Baptist Church Building, 5757 North Central Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. All three of you going to that too?
Yep.
Yes, I sponsored 2 categories in that too.
Nice.
When I reached out, they said they were all taken up already. So I was
That's
like,
because Chuck sponsored 2.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's okay.
Did you sponsor one in the name of the podcast, Chuck?
I think we did.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Susan actually reached out, and I think she might have done that.
Cool. That'd be awesome.
I'm pretty sure she did. Don't quote me. Pretty sure she did.
Unfortunately, you just quoted yourself. So
right.
You've been quoted, sir.
Oh,
We'll probably be showing up with
Yes.
Chips.
yes.
You know what? I like walking in there with a little baggie of those and being like, hey, I'm all that and a bag of chips.
Exactly. It goes
Thank-
without saying that I finally have my chips. So any show that I attend, I will be also handing out chips. So that would be the Down East Con. And this next show, April 12th, Can-Am Con 25. That's presented by our friends at the Mount Mansfield Scale Modelers and IPMS Champlain Valley, held at the National Guard Armory in Williston, Vermont. The theme is British Invasion. Again, Heather and I will be there handing out chips to my favorite builds and saying hi to everybody. So swing in and say hi.
hi.
Hi. April 26th, the 37th annual NNL East, presented by the Tri-State Car Model Club, and it is being held at the Wayne Powell Building. That is the Police Athletic.
Is that what that means? I was wondering what
Police
that meant.
Athletic League. Is that what that means, Doug?
Yep.
Okay. That is One Pal Drive in Wayne, New Jersey.
I was this many days old when I found that out.
Yeah, just the other day I actually found that out. The theme is circle track vehicles and race team transporters. That's going to be a really cool show, and I'm very sad that I'm going to miss it. So hopefully somebody does lots of cool video. I hope.
I'm going to work on that.
Yeah. May 16th and 17th. This is a brand new show. This is Modelrama, presented by Chopped and Glued Club in conjunction with the Hoosier Vintage Wheels Car Show, held at the Johnson County Fairgrounds in Franklin, Indiana. This is all new.
That's 2 days?
That's 2 days, because I believe it's like being held with a very large car show.
Okay.
And this is the first time. This is the first one. So
That's awesome. I
May
like that.
16th and 17th. Very cool. And for now, that's all I've got.
Right on.
That's it.
Well, there's one more show to talk about, but it ties
I
in with
knew
an
it.
email, so we're gonna do that all in one.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much, Jason.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. Let's quickly go to Chuck with the 3D printing news.
All right, mine's gonna be pretty quick today too.
Oh, good.
We'll start with Scale Speed Garage. They're gonna have a Scale Speed Garage 048B pack that's coming out, and that's for just another continuation of the DRC E engine, and that's gonna have Arius heads, Brodix heads, Hillborn injection, a Pro charger in it. And then he's going to come out, I think the very next kit he's coming out with, or the next full file pack, I should say, is going to be steering wheels, seats, consoles, stereo stuff, and personal effects for interior. And he was going to do the diesel pack for 50, file pack 50, but seeing that it's the 50th one, it's going to be a surprise, and it looks like it's 2 full kits.
Oh,
So
wow.
this could be interesting. So I am very curious myself. He says he's been hinting on Facebook about it, so I think I missed the hint. You know how that is. Everything goes over my head, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
He also says that they
jokes.
He also says the Pro Stock F and everything build is growing on. Very soon it's going to be going on. They also have, which you just talked about, the Mile High Open that's going to be in Denver, Colorado, and me and Brian are going to be there. So that's pretty much what he's got going on. For Joel with Iceman Resins, he's got for limited time release coming out this Saturday. It's that Moto Compo bike. I don't know if you've seen it. You've probably seen it, Brian, haven't you? Maybe you have one.
As a matter of fact, I have a test print right
Oh,
there.
Excellent.
What the heck?
This is the
Excellent.
coolest thing ever.
Yes.
He also has 48 Cadillac tail light fin fenders by Red Wheel Models, which I'm kind of interested in that because I like to cut things up a lot. So
Yeah, I've heard.
he's also got the 47 to 52 Cadillac sombreros with soft tires. That's kind of cool. That's by Red Wheel Models also. So he's got the 52 to 56 Cadillac wire wheels with soft tires also by the same. What else? Next week,
I got a chance to see those wire wheels. They are beautiful. So it'll be very easy to paint chrome.
nice.
And the tires are super squishy. I mean, if you have a model with any weight to it, it looks like they'll actually probably sag a little bit into the weight. So it looks like it's a nice heavy car.
Nice.
You know? Yeah,
Nice.
they're really nicely done.
Seriously cool. He says next week he's going to have a bunch of traditional resins going up that he's been hinting about. I'm sure he's been hinting about that on Instagram, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what he's got going on. And Josh Reese with BCG Resins. Just a reminder that Mile High opens Saturday, the 29th next week. He'll be out there, of course. He's putting on the show. He'll be in and out of the shop quite a bit, finishing up things for the show. Lots of new stuff coming in April. So be sure to sign up for the email list, guys. And like always, he says, thanks for our support. What else? We got one more here. We got Whyte Tank Resins, which he says that Brian got a set of them switches. Did you?
Yes, I did.
And
I don't have them handy. They're in my.
Okay. They look really nice, though.
Yes, they do.
What are they?
They're like.
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Chuck.
They're switches. Like.
Oh, just panel switches and
yeah,
stuff?
panel switches. Brian's got some of them.
Such cool stuff.
And that is actually on his website right now, which is www.whitetanksHobbies.com. So check it out. That's what he has for today. I think he's going to be a regular part. He's interested in being a regular part of the show. So we'll be hearing a lot about him pretty soon. So that's all I have for now. But I really want Brian, if you got anything to say about them pedals, go ahead and share.
The switches,
yeah,
they're actually in a dark bag. I can't see them.
Oh
my God, what does he use for a staple? It's made out of adamantium, and the bag is sealed too. Okay,
I thought you opened them.
I thought I did too.
I see pictures of them. And they look really good.
This show is Bush League.
This is not going to show up on camera at all. Maybe I can send a picture to Matt. And
I can see that perfect, Brian. Good job. Not really.
Thank you. All of our listeners. I tell you what, why don't I send a picture to Matt and he can put it right here? Okay.
Great idea.
That goes back to our old days. Speaking of the old days, I want to just say a quick thank you to folks that are interested into what happened to the model car guys on the YouTubes.
Back in the day.
Well, this is the evolution of that into this. So we're still here. We still want to do those, but we're busy with this all the time. So thank you for your interests. We appreciate that. And I remember when we were talking to Doug Whyte at the NNL East show, we were still doing those videos, and you and Giovanna were like, "You guys are so much fun." And we're like, "Yay, we're gonna do this now."
Yeah, right.
And now look.
Yeah. Let's see.
We got to bring something back to YouTube, so we got some things in the works. All right. Thank you very much, Chuck. I appreciate that. And I'm so glad to hear that Chris is going to be a continuous part of that segment.
Yes.
He doesn't get much exposure.
Like a really nice guy.
Oh, he sure is.
For a little bit.
Matter of fact, he was on some of the judging staff for the model car part of the IPMS show.
Is he Joe Porsche's brother?
Son.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Super nice guy. Now that brings us to emails, or I should say the email.
The
email. We have other emails, but we're running a little bit long on time, so we will take care of those in the next episode. So please bear with us. Our email is from Mr. Sean Steinley. And the subject is hate mail for Jason.
Not me. It's Jason.
Okay. Dear Mr. Hanscom, already we're off to a great start.
Yeah, this is good.
In all capitals, it says, "You, sir, ... several exclamation points." Fill in the blanks with the words, your words of your choice, are at the top of my list. Yep, I have a list. I've messaged you at least twice about our upcoming show on, of all dates, April 12th. That is a very popular show for
yes, it is.
Shows. And you have, I think all model shows should just be on April 12th from now on, so it's easier for Jason to keep track of them.
I like that.
He says April 12th, and you have yet to announce it. Okay, enough of that. I know y'all are only human. Stuff gets in the way, and you can't keep up with everything. Y'all do a great job with keeping up with current events in our community. Y'all are so popular in our club that I've had people ask how to listen to the show. That is great, Sean. We appreciate that very, very much. So he goes on to say, so I'm still here, just hiding in the shadows, but still watching. You haven't heard the last of me by any means. Keep up the great work, Sean Steinley.
I'm a little mad at Jason myself, though. A little bit.
Why is that?
You intercepted my hate mail.
I did. I did. You know what it is? Is because last time I said I'm not asking for hate mail for Chuck anymore. We're done with that. Now it's me.
He who shuts it down gets the brunt.
Exactly. Well, so I want to start out by saying I apologize, Sean. You did in fact message me asking me to talk about your show. You even sent me the flyer. So I do apologize. That said show is April 12th. It's Cam's, K-A-M-S, Cam's 30th car show and swap meet, held at the Midway Baptist Church, 5135 South Broadway in Wichita, Kansas. It is officially added to the list. Now, this brings me to my next point. This is why things get lost very easily, because Matt and I have talked about it. It's tough over here because nothing in the noggin. And
no excuses.
If I'm finding it very hard that if I have people sending me private messages on my email, text messages, shows get lost. So guys, please, if you would like me to talk about one of your shows, put it on our list. Please email it to the show. That way there's 2 or 4 sets of eyes on it and it won't get forgotten. I do apologize, Sean. That is totally on me. Sean,
it is totally on him.
It is
100%.
It is
unacceptable.
Listen, guys, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes a mistake, and this is my one.
Hey, but here you go, though.
Oh, come on!
You did hear him at the beginning. You heard him at the beginning of the show saying he's remodeling and cleaning his room, and he found it underneath the desk.
Yes.
Yes.
Next to the bus dunnies, underneath that.
The bus dunnies?
The dust bunnies, I meant.
Oh, no, bus dunnies. That's a thing now.
I'm not going to edit that out.
Dust. Here's some more.
It's out there forever. On
oh, gosh.
I'm thinking your cat ate it.
My cat, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could happen too. Could happen too.
I'll be a good game show host here, and I'll take some of the pressure off of Jason's shoulders.
You get no hate now, Brian.
Matt, you should have sent those emails to him sooner. Okay, now let's move on. All right, you know what? Let's take a little break, get some waters, get some snacks, and we'll be right back here in just a few moments.
Yeah, I got a giant bus dunny on my foot. I'm gonna go take care of that.
Oh man, this looks terrible. Oh, what's wrong, Beavis? The engine in my model car kit sucks. It sucks. Look at this. Maybe you should try IcemanCollections.com. He has all sorts of stuff for model cars and junk. They're all 3D printed parts. Oh, really? Do tell. Yeah, here, check it out. Oh, hello, I am Carl. You have 3D parts for my model car? Shut up, Beavis. Yeah, okay, I'm going to order some stuff right now.
Hello, yes, I'd like to order a number 2, supersized with cheese, please.
Okay. Like drive-through. Maybe we should get back to work. He said number 2. Shut up! I'm trying to elevate my next build with Iceman Collections. IcemanCollections.com, the home of hundreds of model car parts that you need to elevate your build. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for sticking around to that brief little announcement from our new spokespersons. Hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I had fun doing it. But now is the part of our show where we get to talk a little bit more to Doug about what he's got going on and share some information with his YouTube channel and his Patreon. We want to hear more about that. So take it away, Doug. What you got for us?
Well, we started the channel as, it was spurred by that NNL, the last NNL in Toledo. And we realized that, history was a big part of the hobby and it needed to be recorded. We had considered doing a magazine print publication. And I felt that if it's a print publication, it has to be, oddly because it's gone now, but like Rodder's Journal, it has to be super glossy, super quality.
Right.
And way above average. It's got to be a book. I didn't want to get into the having to pay printers and postage and warehouses and all that kind of weight. Giovanna has a background, well, as I do, in film and TV and commercial art. You know, we both worked in New York City. She was a producer. A lot of advertising. I did the same. And we thought with the ability now to shoot video and not film, we could do a YouTube channel. Kind of came together. I was fortunately helped out by her because she's a good storyteller and a good editor. And we started putting things together. And I think it worked out well.
Oh, I think it's worked out quite well. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're, just because of my family situation, we're running at half speed, but we're going to be back on top of things soon. Our content is certainly about history. I don't like to call them how-tos, but they're basically that, or DIY. Some videos that have a little extra in it. I did like a door hinge video. And the
very
whole
good
thing about that was, and I think some people get it and some people don't. Every video I do like that has a little something that if you can pick it up, that's what it's all about. And that was all about get your hinge worked out, get everything ready, get the hinge glued in, then cut the door out while it's aligned. Because, all my life, it's like, oh, I'm going to do hinge doors, and I'm like 14 years old. And the first thing I would do is I cut out all the doors and then I have all these floppy things. And then I'd have to try and get a hinge and get it to work out and get everything to line up. I just figured, let's do them already lined up, then cut them out. So that was my solution for that. But I always try and get a little extra something in there on those. With the history, and that's how it kind of spurred on the Patreon channel a bit that way, because a lot of people were really interested in what we were doing with history, recording it, trying to get interviews with people, just to get their face on the screen. I mean, we've read about so many of these people, as kids, reading all the model magazines growing up. You heard about people, you saw that black and white picture, but then when you get to hear them speak and talk about their models, I think that's just a little extra. So people got into that. People were like, we'd like to help you out. Can we help you out financially or whatever? And we put together the Patreon channel as a place for them to help us out. And I always felt that, for that, you get a little something back. They're not on the Patreon channel. They're not buying content. It's more like with NPR when, you make a contribution or whoever, or PBS, and you get a tote bag, you get a little something. So that's, really what our Friday morning video is about on Patreon. And that's also kind of like, the Skunk Works or the R&D, where we experiment with things and see what people like. The comments have a lot to do with, what's going to come out on the channel. And we go from there, we'll develop a story based on that. So we were brainstorming last night, and just two of the comments that we were talking about became, stories that will be on the channel.
Yeah.
Kind of
awesome.
some how-tos.
That's I love reading through the comments and then getting ideas from the comments for an actual episode or a segment or something like that. And Matt and I have had long conversations in the past about, oh, did you see this comment? Yeah, this is a great topic for one of our shows, type of thing, in the past, and for the podcast too. But that's a great way to do that.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of stuff, and for even on this podcast, the whole, that's the whole point of the emails and the Facebook groups, and then going through the comments and stuff.
Yeah, so maybe it's my background as a commercial artist, a photographer, not a fine art photographer, but one who does photography, for an advertising agency for their client, where it's we're all working together, a group of people. It's a lot of creatives, a lot of input. And I think I just got tuned into that, because that's why I like when I'm building a model and I go on Patreon and I come up with 3 kits, like what should I build next? The comments I get are why I should do that.
Good.
And, to have someone say, well, that car came with this like interior and you should really do that interior, and I'm like, yeah, I never even thought of that. And then I'd look into it and it's like, just check this out. So that I like it when people influence my builds. I really appreciate that.
Makes you, go ahead, Chuck.
Going back to your YouTube channel, another video that I liked was your hood hinge with the magnet and the counterbalance.
Oh yeah.
That was a great video.
Thank you.
Nice.
And I think John Teresi just did that and said it works really good.
Yeah,
I think he did something.
How did you come up with that, Doug?
That was out of necessity. And that was like 30 or 40 years ago. That was a build. That was that Charger Daytona that I built. And, the one thing, that was back at a time, for all of us, when we would be driving down the road and you'd see a gas station is what they were called then, or a service station, and you'd see a car sitting there, okay? You'd see a 67 Chevelle, and you see those 2 hood hinges sticking up, and you knew the hood was gone. You knew someone's working on their Chevelle, and that engine's probably out, or the engine's going in. And that's the place where I would always stop for gas. Like if I'm up in New Hampshire or wherever, and you see that, and it's like, oh, I'll stop at this place. You start talking to the guy, and before you know it, Giovanna's like, come on, we got to leave. Because I'm in the shop with the guy at his big block and the heads he's putting on it or whatever. So I always like that look of just those 2 little hinges sticking up, and I wanted to do it on model. So I solved it by doing that kind of seesaw thing where they both rise up.
And you can put the hood on it, and the hood will go down, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
It's also cool when you take the hood off, people go, wow, those just popped right up. It's like, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And they're attached to the model so they don't get lost.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
another one you did that I've heard a lot of people say that it was kind of an awakening or something. But that whole doing a panel, you basically modifying a panel and not using any putty. You actually did all that melting with the wood, the wood burning tool.
Yeah.
And I still want to go get one of those. I want to do that.
Probably a big hobby shop near you that has those.
Oh, I'm sure there's a couple of them.
But that came from a seminar at GSL long ago with Bob Pace.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, a lot of people sit there, and everybody likes to joke around, but Bob was serious, and I was like listening to his sell as to why this works. You're using the same material.
Yep.
You heat it up. If you can weld, or you can get at least the concept of welding, you can put it together, and then it's ready to go. In 10 seconds, it's dry enough you can sand it. And most important for me, you're sanding the same material that the body is made out of. So it sands at the same rate. I would fill things with super glue and rock hard stuff, and you just end up with, trying to get the right grit that's going to bring the height of it down, and then you get a ghost, and that's no fun.
No.
Well, I started doing that, and it worked out really well.
Yeah.
I tried it. It was in one of the model magazines when I was really young, and I tried it, and it was not as successful because I was a little overzealous with the heat, and I hadn't ever welded anything before at that point and didn't quite understand how it all worked. But after learning to weld steel and aluminum, I was like, I really had a good touch for it. There will be another video, I hope, shortly on using that technique for something else.
Oh, cool. I look forward to
as long, you know, I'm glad to hear like the fire department wasn't involved, so it wasn't that bad of a result. So I'm glad to hear that.
No,
But,
a lot of people thought it would be smelly.
yeah,
And it
that's what I
really
would think.
isn't. I mean, if you're making black smoke, it's way too hot.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's subtle. It's
You
just
went a
got that
little too
subtle
far.
touch. Yeah.
Had a little too much carbon into my plastic. Yeah. So how long have you been building model cars?
I don't know. I was probably 6 or so when I started. You know, started at the kitchen table with my dad. We built Revell Ford 56 pickup. One of my favorite kits, at least at the
Nice.
time, till I found out how inaccurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and went from there. You know, I came from a family of flyers, aviation people. So, of course, they were always building, you know, planes. And I was like, oh, yeah, planes are nice, but, you know, I like cars better. And, of course,
Right.
for our generation, you know, it was, you know, there were new cars on the road every year and you see really cool stuff. And that's all I wanted to build.
Yeah.
I was that kid that always had Hot Wheels in my pocket everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the model car thing was the inevitable next step. And my dad encouraged that. So that was really cool. So when it comes to customizing your builds, what's one of the things you like to do most?
I don't know, you know, I like to, you know, see the car as a whole, you know, the motor, the suspension, how all that relates to itself. But I really like restyling the bodies.
Okay. It shows. It
well,
sure shows.
But you have to remember pretty much everything I've done has been influenced by a sketch.
Oh, okay.
Someone out there, you know, certainly for all the, you know, the famous sketch artists that have been in magazines and designers, you know, they've influenced me a lot. Cadzilla, I was just completely blown away by that. And a friend of mine in an advertising agency, he was on the Texaco account, and he actually got Davey Allison the ride in the Texaco car. He put all that together. But one afternoon, he goes, "Look, meet me at this bar in Chelsea in Manhattan. There's going to be this custom there, this car. It's going to blow your mind." And I went there. It was Cadzilla out in front of this bar in Manhattan, and it had been in the magazine, so I knew of it. And to see it was, I don't know, it really affected me. And a lot of people don't realize that Boyd Connington, even though he put all the panels together, he was guided by the hand of Larry Erickson.
Oh.
I mean, he was the guy who came up with that sketch for that car.
Okay.
He's the guy behind it. And I started following him. He was a guy that went to Art Center at the same time I did. As far as I know, I met him once and we kind of hung out, but, you know, we were just kids at the time. And he then came up with some other sketches. I started following his work. He did a track roadster. He did a Studebaker, which a lot of the influence on my Studebaker came from what he did.
I could tell.
And what his whole thing was, it was basically, think of the car as a clay model, you know, the stock car like the Cadillac of Cadzilla or the Studebaker, and you place your hands on the top and you just pull out on the clay.
Oh,
you know, as a clay model. And what you're doing is you're lengthening it, you're making it a little more graceful, you're softening some of the lines, but then you can go in and you can just clean up some of those lines and sharpen them. And that's what the Studebaker was about. You know, was following his, and that sketch that he had was, I could only see the roof. He had the roof, there was a side view and just the front end with like the Buick wheel opening, and it just followed everything so well. I thought that's pretty cool. He also said it had twin Paxtons, which I thought, well, that's cool. I'll do that too. So that's what the car became. And of course, it was a black and white illustration. I could only view it as being a light colored car, and that's why I painted it pearl.
Okay.
Nice.
So That
a
was out
beautiful
there.
model.
My other customs, like the Chrysler wagon, he did a sketch, and he had done basically the same thing where he lengthened it. He put a little Viper scoop in the side of it, and I followed that along. I vac formed the roof for that car, and I did the same with the Studebaker, so it would have very flush fitting glass, which was like the cool thing back then.
Yeah.
That became that car.
model was.
A couple other customs in the works, so I'll get those going.
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
I'm
that's
looking forward.
Studebaker, and you came out with it, and wham! It's on the cover of Scale Auto Enthusiast.
Yeah.
And that was that time period, because that was about 94, I believe, late 94 or something. That was about that time where Cadzilla and Shazoom, that was like the hot thing in the early 90s, were these extreme customs, coming from Troy Trepanier, and just there were so many cool things, and your Studebaker just fell right into that.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite Troy Trepanier builds was that 62 Biscayne. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing was awesome.
That thing was great.
I think he called it chicane.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Well,
he did. Yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
But for me, Doug's the models that I first saw of Doug's that hit me were NASCAR models. And the first time I ever heard of you, Doug, and we discussed this before, was your article on taking photographs of models in Circle Track magazine, not one model magazines. And there was a particular model that I went, it's my favorite. And I heard that you gotten it redone and finished, that Rob Moroso Oldsmobile. That thing was fantastic.
Yeah, sitting in the cabinet.
That one is like, for me, that and the Daytona, the K&K insurance car, are still what first pops in my head when I think of you. And
cool.
those were the cars that I first found out about you, and it attracted me, and that K&K insurance car is absolutely amazing. I'd love to one day see those in person. It's right over there.
Right over there.
Ding,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's the red one. I can see the red one.
Right.
That era from those Chargers and the Roadrunners from the 70s into like that number 3 car that you held up earlier, into that era. There was a stance those cars had.
Yeah,
that I always liked.
Mm.
Yeah, kind of hunkered a little bit.
Yeah, kind of hunkered down to get you.
Yeah.
I actually have a question that Matt brought it up. He said that he first heard of you with the article in Circle Track magazine. How did this hobby transfer into you doing articles for these, Circle Track and the other magazines? How did you get involved in that? How did that happen?
Well, it started out, I hadn't built a model, after I was in college, kind of got away from building. When I got into my photography career in Manhattan, I was working with prop guys and other model makers that would make things. Things were very hands-on then, and it was like, wow, I'm looking at all the cool stuff they've got and the shops they've got, and I was hiring them to build props for photos for advertising agencies, and I was in a store in Manhattan that sold magazines, and they had a bunch of back issues of Scale Auto Enthusiast, and I just bought the stack. And Javon and I we went and sat in Central Park, and we were just hanging out, and I started looking through these things, and I'm like intoxicated. It's like people are building. They're still building. They just grew up. Now that we're older, we're building, and it's like, I got to go to a hobby shop. So soon after that, I went to a hobby shop, and then I entered the Circle Track had a contest, and it was to build a model in NASCAR or whatever. I went out and I bought I think it was a wall trip, whatever he had then, Monte Carlo, and a sprint car. And I combined the two to make a East Coast modified.
Nice.
Cool.
Basically scratch build it. And, that was before there was really photo etch.
Mm.
It was all tester's paint, hand painted the numbers and everything on the car, and won the contest. I sent him Polaroids because I figured someone would say, well, he's a photographer. He can do nice images. I'll just send him Polaroids. And it still sold it. So
Nice.
Wow.
And the guys at Peterson Publishing were like, can you do some articles for us? So I started writing for them. It then worked its way through a company called Griggs Publishing that did Winston Cup Scene, the newspaper. And they did Winston Cup Illustrated, which was a magazine. And I was doing articles for them. They did a magazine for kids called Racing for Kids. I did a monthly article for a couple of years for them, just building kit stuff. And then, of course, Gary Schmidt was always calling me going, hey, can you do an article for us?
Nice.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Started doing a lot of writing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm going to start submitting all of my photos in Polaroid form now,
Right.
just in case.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
Seems like it did the trick.
I got one right here.
Yeah.
That's just sitting right there.
Just
All right, ready to
okay.
go.
That sounds like a whole other podcast.
Yeah, great.
But that is, and we've all seen Polaroids. We know those do not do anything any justice at all. So to have submitted those and then get a call like that,
Yeah, that's
gotta-
amazing.
that's a definite testament to your building skills.
It sure
I
is.
can tell you. So
Yeah, it was good. I won the second year, and part of it was good. You got a trip to Charlotte to the World 600.
oh,
And they also had that second year was a division for, I guess, 18 and under. Clay Kemp won that.
That's cool.
And
And
Clay and I
another
were-
good builder.
were, they're sitting right next to us, and we were just talking. And he pulled out his bill. He said, "Did you have it with you?" He pulled it out. He's sitting there, and it was like an amazing build.
Yeah.
For a, I don't know, he was probably 15, 16.
Wow.
He's in one of the Model Car Muse videos.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
a story.
Oh yeah.
It was just an amazingly clean build.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that conversation back in the day. It's like, hey, do you know who you're going to be? No, do you know who you're going to be?
Right.
Yeah, interesting. And
That is so cool.
and it's Clay who does for Salvino's all the artwork now for these
Yep.
decals.
Right.
And the decals that come in these kits are absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are,
I'll tell you what. I've seen Clay's stuff in person
Yeah.
at NNL East, and it is amazing. Amazing.
it is. Doug, do you have any more aspirations to entering shows now?
Sure. I mean, I'm building, for myself, for the most part. Certainly with the collaboration with people, I love that.
Mhm.
I take stuff to shows. I take stuff to NNL East. I build
Nice.
stuff. Sometimes I'll hand it off to somebody and say, "Why don't you put this on your shelf?" And they
that's
usually
cool.
do.
Yeah. That's
That
cool.
is-
You did a video last year about entering a model contest, and it was at our
Yeah.
show.
Yes.
Are you planning to bring something this year to put on the table?
I think so. I'm not, cranking out models like, a lot of people we know
Right. Good. Well-
in quantities, but I'll bring what I have.
Nice. Very
Sweet.
nice.
And you'll get some Polaroids of that, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me know which class so that I don't
Send
enter
it
that
to
one
you.
because I want to go up against Doug Whyte.
You can still get Polaroid film for that camera.
Yeah.
There's a company somewhere in Scandinavia that
Yep.
owns all the rights and makes the stuff.
Wow.
It's mainly expensive. But
Yeah,
I
well,
know. I've
there's
been wanting to do that because I'm
there's a
pretty
lot
sure
of-
this thing still works.
there's a lot of people that collect those and still use them today. My daughter actually has a couple that she likes. She's into photography.
Yeah.
She has a lot of high end stuff, and then she has stuff like that just because, and she
Oh,
still
yeah.
uses it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've
Yeah,
got a bunch of antique. You remember all the antique cameras we've got? at the house because Heather was big into photography before the Dungeons and Dragons stuff took over. So she was like buying antique cameras every time she found one, and the house was full of antique cameras. So
after
pretty sure I'm gonna.
After dropping the beer in your room, I wasn't allowed to touch anything else, especially the cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, there are a couple of things like, we all appreciate the sound of certain engines.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend that when, cell phones first became common, we would call each other and hold the phone near the exhaust and say, guess that engine.
Oh.
So,
I love that game.
we kind of got into the love of this thing. But with cameras too, the click of that shutter.
Mm-hmm.
3 cameras that have a really distinctive sound. And one is certainly an SX70 Polaroid, because you get the click, the thump, and the whir of the motor that comes out. There's a camera called a Rolly 35, which is a rangefinder, and it's the quietest little blink sound that the shutter makes. And the other one is a Hasselblad. That's a big roll film camera, and the shutter, the mirror pops up and makes a really pneumatic sound, and then just the beautiful sound of the whir of the shutter. So people love that.
I can relate. It's kind of funny with all the cell phones I've ever had. I have to have that sound effect when I take pictures. And sometimes when I shut it off, it's so unsatisfying to take a photograph.
Yeah.
Yep. I find myself saying click.
You just walk around it, and he does. He just, like yesterday at Andy's, he was just walking around going click.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck was going on with
click,
that.
Click, whir. Okay, I gotta shake it. So, do you think perhaps your artistic eye with photography gives you a little better perspective on adding detail to model cars?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think that's helped tune my eye to a great extent. One thing I've really been noticing lately in my most recent build, which will be out soon, I built it under LED lights, these very raw bulbs that showed every bit of dust, every bit of scratch, and I kept, we kept recording, and showing this, because all those imperfections could really be seen under this light. When you put it under normal light or normal room light, they all go away. You just don't have that clarity of softer light that allows you to see that. But it's also light and shadow. I did a paint test on the Patreon channel of just black paint, just gloss black paint, and I always was under the impression that Tamiya Gloss Black was the paint in a can. I mean, not talking about professional level stuff, because, those cars they build in Stuttgart, you can actually get a black that is so incredibly deep. It's an optional color.
Really? Okay.
That it's just blacker than, a typical black that you get on any SUV or whatever. But what I was looking for, I was doing this test, and what I found was the black gloss black Rust-Oleum is a richer, deeper black than the Tamiya stuff.
Wow.
And of course, I'm so disappointed with Tester's enamel. It's like there's clear mixed into it or something. It just doesn't have the coverage. I did a couple other brands too. But those are the things, I just get really nerdy when it comes to paint and color. The way light falls on something.
Does black get so black that it tints blue? What's the blue tint sometimes in the black?
Actually,
is it the deeper it gets, the more bluish of a tint it gets for some reason?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that may be more of a reflective sort of thing. I had a full-size car that I clear coated with, it was black. I put a coat of clear blue over it.
Oh.
Just because it just you look at it and it's like, wow, yeah, that's a really nice black, and it's because it's cool in tone. It's like a lot of these chromes that are out there now that we can spray on. My only pet peeve I have left with that is it's very neutral to warm in color. If you look at chrome and you look at any artist that paints chrome, like a photorealist, even a non-car guy, they always put a bit of blue in there. It's the blue sky.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it chrome.
Right.
So, my quest is to try and get a little bit of blue mixed into one of these. I still like the Alclad a lot. I like its durability. I have some I sprayed years ago that's still shiny, still hard. I want to try and find a blue tint that I can put in that.
That would be interesting.
Have you used the new Rebel stuff yet?
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I like it a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it dries. It's hard enough, certainly, for the kind of handling that we're going to do.
Yeah,
I just wish I could just get just a touch of cool in there.
So this stuff, I bought this stuff here, this Ultra Illumid. Have you seen anything on that?
No.
They said you can clear coat with 2K over it, and which makes it more durable than anything we've got so far. I'm going to try that probably on my next build.
I'm curious to see what kind of color tone it has.
Very curious.
Yeah, and it really looks good. I've seen videos of this stuff, and it looks great.
Say, Doug, what if we sprayed something like that over a blue base?
That's a possibility, like a dark blue.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
I had a friend of mine way back in the day. How to do it?
Ding, ding,
ding, ding. Back in the 80s, he had a Buick Grand National. Okay, and that was an incredible car to get a hold of when they were still at the Buick dealerships. And he immediately went and had it re-clear coated with blue pearl put into it, and it was the most amazing looking Grand National. Yeah. And anybody think, oh no, you don't do that to a Grand National, those things are black, but it really did, like what you said, adding the blue to it really does give it gave it something, especially with going with the pearlescent. It was a real spectacular look. But I know that I used to work in automotive paint, and I actually used to mix paint at a paint store once, and pretty much most of your blacks, like GM black, all your blacks, it's not just a black. There's blues and sometimes yellows.
That's what I was getting at, is when I went to the automotive store, that's what they told me, and they gave me a bunch of cards.
It's never just that. So I did my black Camaro that I need to finish, that you saw, that was PPG toner black. That is like the blackest you can get. That's why that car is so rich and black. But yeah, it could also create a little bit of problems and looks. It's almost like too black.
Yeah, I've seen that on the table. It looks like the center of the universe with wheels on it.
That's why I had to put yellow decals on. That's why I got those decals out of.
I learned about black at a pretty young age. I guess I was in college though. I had a black Mach 1 with silver stripes, and I had a couple spots I just wanted to touch up. So I went to the parts store and I got a can of Duplicolor, and I figured, I could do it. I can blend it in. I wasn't at a point, I didn't have a compressor or spray booth or anything I could work in, but it was just touch up. They were out of the black, but they had like a GM black. So I bought that and I sprayed it on, and it was like, yeah, it's black, but it's a brown black.
Yeah.
And I started to really explore the fact that, you can accept there's like Wimbledon white and appliance white and all the other versions of white, but with black, there's some subtle differences.
Yeah.
GM used to have a tuxedo black was their
go-to
color.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I think it had a little bit of a blue to it. But
I'm just a paint nerd.
it's black. It should be black. Black is black, right? It's like, no, not really, because there's an actual formulation in there that has to be copyrighted in some way, So, yeah, no, I am. I'm right there with you with that touch-up paint stuff. I had a '69 Buick, and I thought, okay, I'll do some touch-ups on the rock chips on the front of the car, and that was like the best way I could describe it was celery green. And it had faded out so much. I just bought a thing of silver that actually matched it better than anything else.
Wow.
All right, so thank you so much for that, Doug. Can you talk a little bit about your Patreon and where we can find you for the Patreon stuff?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm not even sure. If you go to Model Car Muse, there will be a link there to get you to the Patreon. Mm-hmm. We have also been running little ads in the middle lately, just to alert people that it exists, because we're always getting requests on how people can help out. And it also clarifies that, they're not really buying content. They're just buying a thank you, a tote bag from PBS.
I like that. Do you have different tiers that people can volunteer for?
There are different tiers. Yes.
Okay.
Starting at something that's very economical to wherever you want to go with it.
Okay. So Taco Bell to lobster type of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All the way. all the way to Ruth's Chris and beyond.
Yeah. There you go.
Everything awesome. There's always Taco Bell involved when it comes to BG. It's
you go to Ferrari.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen the rate on
I always like a food analogy for anything. I try and work it in. So that's good. I like that.
Perfect. We all like food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So
can you tell?
Okay. So thank you very much for talking about that, Doug. And now we are going to each get to ask you one of our favorite questions to ask guests. Let's start with Chuck.
Okay. My question is, do you have now, and obviously you kind of just answered part of the question, do you have now a classic car, or have you had a favorite classic car in the past that you'd like to let us know?
Well, anything I've had in the past that I might have bought new is now a classic car. So, let's see. Right now, I have two vehicles. One is a CJ2A Willys Jeep, and it's been in the family for forever. It was on a family farm. I just finished a build of one, and that'll be out on Model Car Muse soon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's got all 52 wires. It's a very simple vehicle, but it has all 52 wires. It's all wired up and as realistic as I can make it.
Cool.
The other vehicle is a Citroen Traction Avant, which looks like a chopped and channeled 34 Ford.
That's really cool.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I have to look that up.
Yeah, that's a car from the 1930s that came out at the same time as a 34 Ford. But it's unibody. I mean, this was another, Citroen that was just breaking all the rules and doing new stuff. Unibody, torsion bar suspension, independent front suspension, upper and lower A-arms, overhead valve engine.
Wow.
Trying to think of all the other things that were just beyond suicide doors.
For the 1930s.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was actually built just after the war, so it's a little more refined.
Okay.
But they first started building them in the 30s. Citroen, his history was he was an engineer and a gear designer. So he patented all these ideas and systems for gears, which he then sold those patents to start his car company. And, as far as I'm concerned, every 410 Dana, every, Muncie Rock Crusher, all these transmissions, the people from Stuttgart that make those cars, all their gearing is based on the stuff he developed and sold the patents to. He got him out there. This stuff his stuff carries on forever. The way he cut gears so they were quiet, they weren't straight cut gears.
Right.
This Citroen in the 1930s was, a synchro car. Very quiet gears, very quiet car. So he was another one of those inventors. I love looking back on how these guys came up with crazy stuff and got through. Unfortunately, the Second World War and some other financial issues that we don't have to go into was why he ended up having to leave his company. But
well, it's funny you say crazy stuff, because back then it was crazy, but today it's standard. It's the norm. So I can't wait to see 50 years from now. God help us. God help me. If okay, that's the car.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I can't get it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that does look like a chopped Ford. Almost like a Vicky or something like that.
It's low. It's a low car. You look at that next to a 34 Ford, and when you stand next to a stock 34 Ford, you're really looking at the same height as the driver. You're pretty close to it. Well, except for BG. You're looking right in there. When you're standing next to the Citroen, you're looking over the roof.
Because it didn't have to sit on top of a frame, so that brought the center of gravity down.
It was low. It was light.
Front wheel drive also.
Yep. Which is not my favorite thing. That's not a performance vehicle.
No.
But
yeah. My dad and I used to argue about that.
Yeah.
My dad was like, well, with the front wheel drive, that pulls you around the corner. I'm like, yeah, but some of us still want to get pushed,
Yeah.
Pushed and bent out of shape.
Yeah, that's why I've always had a passion for all-wheel drive cars.
Well, we are a household with 2 Subarus now, so.
Yeah, very good.
Yep, especially after that Challenger. Oh boy. Here in Arizona, we're famous for our monsoon weather, and I was cruising down the freeway at 75 plus miles an hour. I don't want to get in trouble more than that. And there was a monsoon deluge, and we hit that with the Challenger. I was with my nephew, and got a little squirrely in that, and then I realized, this is the RT with the race tires, so there's no tread. let's just back it down a little. Yeah, we got home, and Linda was like, "Yeah, you guys have fun on your drive." And my nephew was like, "It was sporty." Fun times, but nobody ever has a problem with front wheel drive cars, right?
Right.
Yeah. I was at a local Phoenix museum. Had a Spirit of Speed show with race cars from all different denominations and such. And they had a Miller, and I was checking out this Miller, and it was, of course, single seat, gigantic steering wheel, roadster style. And I was checking this car out. I'm like, this has the weirdest rear suspension I've ever seen on an older car like this. And then I got around to the front, and it's got this big giant differential on the front. And then you realize that the grill isn't really a grill. It's just actually fins. And then the radiator is on the side of the engine. I'm like, what is this thing? I had to look it up, and I'm like, this is a front wheel drive race car. This is cool. But unique, so that was kind of cool.
Quaint.
Yes, quaint.
Okay, that's a good one.
It's like the Southerners. Well, bless your heart. Isn't that quaint?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for the question, Chuck. Let's go to Jason.
Okay. So the zombie apocalypse is upon us, Doug. And you've gotten your family to safety. You've gone back to the house. There's a horde of zombies approaching fast, and you have time to grab one model kit out of your stash. What kit are you going for?
Wow. I'd have to say this enthusiast Ferrari GTO that I pulled out.
Is it because it's on the desk already?
Easy access.
On the desk.
Yeah, this one. I mean, I have a bunch that are,
he might be able to grab paint if it's already on the desk.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. Good point. Thanks. I'll remember that when the time comes.
Yeah, right.
It could be handy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think kit wise, there's a lot of stuff that's sacred that I've had for a long time, or things I bought in certain places, while traveling or whatever. But it's kind of what's ever on my mind at the moment. And I have about 10 builds in progress that are like right on top. But I'm thinking about this GTO a lot. I was actually amazed that when we did the vote on the channel, that it didn't win.
And
again,
man.
what was chosen, I'm also super happy about.
Yeah.
That'll come out soon.
Very cool.
I'm so glad you're like, okay, I'll build that rather than, you know what? Never mind. I'm doing this anyway. Thanks for your input, but we're doing this anyway. I actually have a few kits in my stash I would throw at the zombies as they're trying to get in the house, to try and slow them down a little bit.
Are they die cast?
I was just like, here, build this. Now we can escape.
Right.
Diecast are great weapons. I did a lot of development for Danbury Mint, so I have a special spot for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever work on one of their Tuckers?
No, the Tuckers were done by the time I got there.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick and I both started at about the same time, and a lot of those were already done.
I have some of them.
Yeah.
Do any work to the Easy Rider bikes?
No, you mean the 10th scale or whatever they were?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there when those were being done. One of the other guys handled it. Rick did a little bit of work on that. We all got to hang out and do color choices and that sort of thing, which was.
I got those.
Nice.
Oh,
those are
cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. So, which one were you most heavily involved in?
I did a lot of Thunderbirds.
Okay.
Most of the Corvettes, including the competition Corvettes.
Nice.
Some of the customs, we'd switch things around. I did the Watson Thunderbird, with the 58 Thunderbird with the Watson paint.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
nice.
I'll do a video at some point.
I'm learning this myself now. I mean, I've never heard this.
Yeah, and I got to, when you work on that stuff, you get to dive really deep because the company was willing to spend the money to do the research to make them above and beyond awesome. So we got to work with the people that were either the steward of the car at that point, or the person that restored it or painted it. So, doing the Watson car, we got all the House of Colors that were the paint numbers that were used to do that. So when those decals were made up, they were an exact match.
Wow.
At some point, cool. Rick and I are going to do a video for the channel. Diecast is not always loved by a lot of people. Rick and I are going to do one at some point. We've talked about this, about the Easter eggs that have been planted in a lot of these cars.
That's cool.
Interesting.
That'd be fascinating.
Yeah, the Watson car has a really cool one. So,
nice.
Yeah, the die casting is kind of an interesting nut to crack because there are die cast kits like the old Hubley kits and stuff.
Yeah,
which were a challenge to build if you're not used to dealing with that. But I found it to be fun. Yeah, I mean, some people want to. Because we even have categories in some competitions where it's modified die cast, where you buy a die cast, tear it apart, modify it some way.
Nice.
And then reintroduce it. I always thought that was great. When people out there like doing it, and I put kudos to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain die cast things. There are Corvette valve covers, is one of my best examples. No one has 3D printed a really good ribbed small block Corvette die cast valve cover yet. The ones on the Danbury Mint cars are perfect. And they're good to steal parts from.
Okay.
And everything in Danbury Mint is copper layered and then chrome plated.
Okay.
So it's
So-
real chrome.
So
Wow.
if you're a
What-
3D printer out there and you want to do some nice valve
That's right.
covers,
Right. Someone
Right.
give me some valve covers because I have a use for some valve covers on a custom.
I need a set of those valve covers because I want to build the Chaparral Camaro, and Jim
Hmm.
Hall used those Corvette valve covers with a spacer to make it higher for the roller rockers and stuff.
Yep.
And I had a friend of mine back in the 90s who owned the car, and I got to play with it a little bit. So that car is like really special. I have a build planned for that. To have those valve covers be just like the added touch.
well, I want to set now just because.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Exactly.
am going to be doing the resin body of the Chaparral Camaro. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
And the Danbury Mint cars, what scale would you usually work on with those?
They were pretty much 24 scale,
Okay.
Mm.
which was, I'm kind of a 25th scale person, but I'll bend for those cars.
Yeah.
Nice.
Andy actually got one in that collection recently. He pulled it out and he was like blown. It was a Corvette Pro mod.
Oh yeah.
And
A blue
It
car.
was- yeah, and it was like everything opened. It was just amazing. And even and it was a '63 Corvette.
Yep.
The back little lid opened up for the fuel filler. You could see to stick the fuel filler in.
Yeah.
Did you design that one?
That was just before me. That was just coming out.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Could have
And
sent that in.
Andy's
But
holding on
believe
to
me,
that.
a lot of those, I love those the fillers on a lot of the cars, like the Chargers, the 69, 70
Yeah.
Charger,
Yeah.
those open.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of some of the other cars like that. Yeah.
Man, that could be the next thing in the model car world is opening fuel doors,
Oh,
That's
why do you have to put that
yeah.
out there?
I've already thought about doing that.
Right? I mean, we're getting so good with putting lights in and wiring and all that stuff. Now it's like, let's open the fuel door. Why not?
I
Yeah,
opened
exactly.
the glove compartment on the El Camino. I did.
Yeah, but you didn't put anything cool in there like gloves or.
I know. I put a stereo system in there.
Yeah, it needs
Yeah.
a map.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, if you'd like to check out a model that has that, Tim Ryan did that on his Yellow Nova. The
Hmm.
glove box is open and there's an owner's manual sitting on the door.
Nice.
That's
Wow.
perfect.
That is impressive. Yeah.
That's cool.
So speaking of glove box doors, I gotta ask, why did they put the little coffee cup holders on those things? They were not gonna hold anything.
Yeah, dude, they certainly did when you were in the McDonald's parking lot and you might have had a coffee. You set it right on the door.
Yeah, not 60 miles an hour on the California freeway though. That didn't.
It really wasn't a cup holder. It was more just like a little indentation.
Yeah. I thought at first I thought the metal was stressed so it wouldn't warp or anything like that. I was like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what it was for.
I'm sorry.
I always appreciated the paint drip marks on those.
Yeah.
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 But that ran the wrong direction for how the glove box door closed. If you wanted to feel like you're going faster, open the glove box door, see the paint drips running the wrong way.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. So that covers Jason. How about you, Matt? Do you have a question you'd like to ask?
Yes,
Mr. Bell?
I do. I do remember my question, I think.
Hey,
Or did I forget about it?
Wow.
write this down.
All right, here we go. So, Doug, is there a Holy Grail kit that you do not have yet? That one that you desire, you would really love to get a hold of one day.
Yeah, I don't think so. I have a pretty good stash.
Nice.
I'm just trying to think Holy Grail kit. I mean, the one thing is I don't have an A10 Alpine, which I'd like to get one of the
Yeah.
the newer
Oh.
tooling kits.
One of the Tamiyas.
Yeah.
Mm.
The Alpine, the race version or the street version?
I would say I like the street version. Maybe I build one of those to go beside the Monte Carlo version.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That is actually kind of a hard kit to get a hold of. I've been trying to nail one of those for a while.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they bring them into the States.
I got one in Colorado of all places. We were on vacation there. We went into a little mom and pop shop, and there was one sitting on the shelf, and I'm like, oh, shut up and take my money. So that was the model kit where I it was snowing out, and I was just telling Matt about this yesterday. It was snowing out, and I went up to the counter to pay with my debit card, and the older guy that runs the store, oh, we don't take cards, we only take cash. I'm like, are you all right? So I went up to the car where Linda was, with the car running and all nice and warm, and I said, I got to go get some cash. She's like, oh, okay, great.
That it?
That's the one. So I
have that kit. I do have that kit.
I crossed the highway in the snow, ran down to a bank. Their ATM was broken, so I went around to the drive-through ATM, stood at the drive-through ATM, got my money out, ran back across the highway, went up the hill in the snow, bought the kit, and walked out to the car triumphantly over my head.
Nice.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then I got in the car, and Linda was like, "What was that all about?" Like, one day I'm going to talk to Doug Whyte. He's going to want this.
He's going to want, definitely.
Awesome. Well, my question for you, sir, is in the world of TV and movie cars, which vehicle would you want to have from a movie or TV show in your driveway as a personal vehicle?
Oof.
Chitty bang bang?
Yeah. I've always liked the 55 Chevy and 2-lane blacktop.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, it had, the daisy wheels. Those wheels are like, those are extra special on that.
Yeah.
But at a TV or movie, it would probably be the California Kid.
Oh, yeah. 32 Deuce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Danbury Mint, that was always on my list of suggested rod and customs. We got to do it. Rick headed up a lot of that. I also like Jake's Coupe, which was a yellow car that was on that just breakthrough rod and custom cover from 73.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow car. I mean, I always liked that. I like the story of the build, but the California Kid was extra special.
That thing had a wicked stance. And I don't think the front suspension had any give at all, because there's no place for that tire to go over those under those fenders.
No, it's wicked stance. The reversed Hallobrans.
Yes,
the polish on them, and the fact when I read that story that really set with me was that was when hot rodding began to understand that it had a history. Until then, it was like everybody was building something new. They're building the wild show cars, and they're building hot rods like they always have been. But there was a point where those guys said, you know what? Let's look back and build like a nostalgia car. And that was where everyone started to realize there's history. Hot Rod Magazine, was then still, part of Rod and Custom and all. They started running articles on, the history of Tri-5 Chevys and the history of hot rodding and who was there in the beginning. The guys there, Winfield and all the cam grinders, all those guys, what their history was. That became popular articles then in the 70s in hot rod. So then, it was time to look back. It's like the evolution of a lot of things, like computers or whatever. It gets to a point where people then look back and they go, yeah, I had that Apple II computer. Wow. And people collect them. I know people that collect old computers.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that there are people out there that are collecting old cell phones. It's like, oh, I've got these flip phones, they've got like a display on their wall. It's like,
I think Matt,
my dad still uses one.
I'm going to say, Matt and I know a couple of guys in our model club that still have flip phones.
Those are
swear by them because they're not going to break. Yes.
No.
Ben, he always shows me hey, shows me a picture on his flip phone. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
can't see it.
Right. Can you pinch and make that large? No.
Then he's like, hey, Kevin, you know that picture I sent you? Can you show?
Yeah. He really takes offense to it if you take your camera phone and take a picture of the picture and blow it up on your phone.
He takes offense to that.
He's not happy about it. No.
I love those guys. Those guys are funny.
They're fun. They're fun. But yeah, good answer, man. I would not have considered that one.
Wow.
I'm just thinking about that flame job on that car now too, because it.
Oh, that was
a
good job.
For the time, that was really cool. But now it's like an iconic look to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and flames evolved with like true flames and things after that. But like you said, that's iconic, and it was done just right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was chronicled in the magazines too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out there with my one shot and paint and trying to emulate that, and I can't do it. I can't make stripes. I have a friend who's a really great pinstriper, and he can just lay that stuff out. And he's also computer literate. He can make decals of pinstripes and things, full-size cars and motorcycles and stuff. But the fact that he's been in both worlds, which I think is really cool.
That is.
The analog world of, a brush, one shot, and the smell, and all that of that enamel paint. So.
Truth be told, I've been known to just sit for hours and watch videos on Instagram of people pinstriping, and going, I could do that. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, what stopped me was finding out you need a special brush. I'm like, now I'm done.
Oh, Jesus.
That was my speed bump. That was the gatekeeper for me.
You got to know how to twist that brush too when you're going around corners. Yeah, there's a lot to that other than the brush,
Oh gosh, yeah. And then how the paint fills the belly of the brush, and first of all, you actually have to go through the anatomy class of what a paintbrush is and how to use it.
Yeah.
It's like, good Lord, okay, I had no clue. But then for me, I can do something really well. Like, like if you're drawing a heart, I can do the right side of the heart really awesome. And if I go to do the left side, and it starts looking like a hexagon, and I'm like, sorry.
There's like a whole body movement and fluent with that, and what you have to do with the brush I watched this thing with Van Dutch talking about that. And not only are you like the way you lay it down, but you got to like be twisting the brush as you flow. And it's just like, oh my goodness. I watched a guy who was, when I worked at Swift Custom Motorcycles in the paint department, we had this amazing guy. He went to all the shops in town, amazing pinstriper. And he would be pinstriping whatever the heck was given to him. And he's always like doing business. So he was on his phone. And it was like the early days of these. And he's like doing this the whole time. Instead of like, putting ear things in and stuff, he just like, oh yeah. So anyways, yeah. And its stuff was perfect.
Yeah. The phone tucked under his ear while he's doing the painting.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was watching a guy at a show and he was pinstriping. He's telling how he's doing it. He's telling the story. Plus, he's got a cigarette hanging out. It's like a mile long, and the smoke's going up in one eye. So he's got one eye twitching. He's telling the story and making like a mirrored pinstripe. It's like, wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
It was just like muscle memory, just so easy for him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't you just want to kick? Just want to kick people like that.
I don't like
but
it.
there are plenty of people that are out there that look at us building models and go, you had the patience.
Yeah.
It's just like pinstriping. You've got the patience to sit there and go, okay, you know what I just didn't work out. I'm going to redo it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of decision making, plus also making it look easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why a lot of things like model building, if or retouching or any kind of computer work with Illustrator or whatever, you never want your client sitting next to you.
Right. Oh
because
boy, that's true.
You're so tuned in to Photoshop or Illustrator or anything Adobe that you're making it look easy. And it's those years of experience
that
that they're like, oh, well, the guy just clicks on a brush and he goes and he does it. And it's like, it takes time to make the right judgment.
I feel like that about, exactly. I feel like that about 3D printing.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's started to dabble in that will know that there's a learning curve when it comes to getting something come out right. I'm sure Chuck can attest to this.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve.
Yeah.
With anything,
it's still learning. I'm still learning today, and that because things just keep evolving, and it gets better and better and better and better. I mean, and even welding, because Doug brought up welding. I mean, today I'm a welder by trade. That's what I do for a living, and it just with the new generations that are getting into it, it just gets more advanced and more. Everybody's TikToking their welds, and you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I watch it.
And you got to, and that's an art there too. I mean,
yeah. I mentored for 12 years a robotics team.
Yeah,
and
really.
I've been welding a long time.
Yeah, there was a combination of teaching kids welding, mentoring them, and also doing CAD work, mentoring them as well, using a lot of what was it, AutoCAD, and trying to think of some of the others that we were using. But it's interesting to see kids and how they pick it up.
Right.
And welding was really good for a lot of kids because it's all about patience.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of kids that would say, I'm not a patient person. But when they learned to weld, they could be patient.
Very, very much so.
Right. Just get beautiful welds.
When I teach somebody, I teach them with like a metronome too sometimes.
Oh, really?
Have you ever thought about doing that?
No.
It's sometimes I'll put in earbuds and I'll put a metronome on. And for longer welds, and it really, really helps.
I could see where that would work.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Matt's been in the shop. He knows.
Yeah, but I didn't pay attention to anything you did.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. I wasn't that impressed.
Well, Doug was mentioning that sometimes younger folks don't have the patience, or they say they don't have the patience, but then it's like with my nephews, right? When they were younger, you want to sit and build a model car with me? Nah, that takes forever. Hey, you want to see something I built in Minecraft? Only took me 65 hours. And it's like
that's true. But that again is some of this new generation. Now I wish there was more craftsmen, but some of them, because Doug has taught some of that stuff. So like teaching a welding class or whatever, there's 2 out of 30 kids that actually really do something and that are really that are really gifted.
Yeah.
And that you look at those 2 guys and you're like, they're gonna make it, or a girl or whatever, and they're gonna make it, and the rest of them maybe not, or so. But you get those. I mean, it's just some of these kids that are coming out that are the gifted ones are bringing it to that TikTok level or whatever, and it gets amazing to watch them do stuff like that. You get pretty. I get engulfed in watching some of that stuff that they do.
Yeah, I love that.
I do like watching welding videos.
Yeah. And talk about kids' patience. One of the first things we do, there's a circuit board that goes on the robot, typical green circuit board.
Mm-hmm.
And that sits there raw. It's designed by the kids. And then there are 4 holes, and that has to be secured to the robot. So the first thing in CAD to get some training going is to get some kids, and we're going to make a riser for that, so that robot's basically aluminum framework, but so that circuit board doesn't get screwed down tight to the aluminum, it has a plastic riser.
Right.
So you sit down and it's like, okay, here you go, and they map it all out, and they they plot the 4 holes, and they know they're going to have a small screws that are going to pass through those. So then they go to print it with just a simple printer. So they put it on the fastest setting, and it they print it out, then they go to put the screws through the holes, and the holes are just a little too small. So I'm like, well, just go over to the drill press and drill it out. They're like, no, we'll just make the holes bigger on the file and print a new one. We don't want to have to walk all the way over there, pick out a drill bit, and drill it out.
That's awesome. Yeah,
that's one kind of problem solving.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if I do this again, I don't want to have to walk back over there again. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You've been in that kind of trade.
Yeah, my son was involved in high school, and it's a great thing. They say that kids don't learn stuff like that in shop class.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately.
What they really learn, I mean, there's programming groups. Kids can learn programming or whatever, in there. But what they're really learning is how to get along with other people in what is in essence a business kind of situation.
Yeah.
Where, three people might have an idea, and, they're all used to building Legos at home where they can do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when it comes to having combined your idea with someone else's idea, that doesn't always work. But that's, if you go to work every day, that's what it is.
Yep.
Working with others. And that's the most important skill I think they get out of it.
Yeah.
I wish there was more tradesmen now. I mean, it seems to be fading out a little bit.
Well, yeah, the demand is there. Certainly in southern New England, there's a demand for it. And these robotics teams, the one I was on, they would go out and get sponsors. They had NASA and other sponsors. They would build a new robot every year. But there are companies that go to the competitions and will sponsor robot teams purely to meet these kids and offer them apprenticeships.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there are a number of companies here in Connecticut that look around and they're looking for kids that want to just come in after high school, learn how to be a machinist, a contemporary machinist or a welder or whatever. And they're like, we'll train you. We'll give you, your toolkit or whatever you need. And, just give us, maybe sign a contract for just hanging with us for 5 or 10 years, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
almost like
amazing.
an apprenticeship.
There are companies like, Raytheon and, that
I do a lot of work for them.
Yeah.
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah. Right. Boston Dynamics. I'm just trying to think of some of the other companies that are around.
So it would be those shows then are the more technical versions of scouts coming to baseball, football games, stuff like that.
Right.
Looking for talent for the scholarship team.
We've actually
college team.
We had a program with some of the colleges that we pulled welders or machinists out, and we still do that. And offer them an apprenticeship program, and I'd rather teach somebody that's a blank campus because they don't have all the bad habits.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're getting off topic. so far off a topic.
Well, leave it to me. Yeah.
Well, it's okay. Well, Doug didn't warn me about it over our phone call. But I'm like,
he's really interesting with like some of the stuff he's done.
Oh, you actually would be fascinated, with people with really into building model cars, and they're in the model cars. There's just so much engineering we do lots of times. Come to find out, there's a lot of fabricators and welders and people that have done what a lot of us have got a background in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unheard of.
Well, also, you might not have background in it, but you're doing the scratch building and you don't realize you're engineering.
Yeah.
You have a hidden engineering skill.
Yeah.
So,
it's also having to understand the engineering that goes into that original design and why it's there.
Precisely. So, my nephew graduated from engineering school college school just this last year, and he talks about knowing the why. If I can know the why, then I can answer any questions you have come up with the brief.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
And I'm like, that's a good point of view. It's a good point. Yeah. Why is this there? What does this do?
Yeah.
It's like, working on an older model car, and I was like, what's with this weird looking beehivey thing? I don't need this, do I? Throw over my shoulder. I was like, hey, this doesn't have an oil pan. Perhaps that was part of the oiling system.
Well, you show any of these young engineers a carburetor, you show them a Stromberg 97, and they're like, really? Oh. And you tell them how it works, in secondaries.
You mean one of these?
Yeah. They're like, not to use the word again, but it's quaint.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they look at it and they go, that can't possibly work. It's like, well, the Wright brothers had a tomato can as their carburetor, tomato soup can as their carburetor body. But once you know how the air is supposed to move through there so the fuel can mix with it, then you can probably make a carburetor out of anything. Not flammable.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but when it comes to scratch building, friend of mine was like, how are you able to visualize all this? I'm like, well, a lot of times I look at photos, because Google search is your friend. But I'm like, just break it down into its basic shapes. And then you can go from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my thing. But anything else anybody wants to ask Mr. Doug?
No. Well, yeah, but I mean,
I was going to say, there's
a bunch of other stuff.
There's so much that this could go on for much longer than we would probably.
We're going to get way off the topic again.
Yeah.
Well, let's stick around for our other podcast that has to do with welding and robotics and photography.
Exactly.
We'll be starting that one up soon.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I have one quick robotics thing, and now that I see it, if you look back on the wall, just right about. Let's see if I can get my finger in there. Right there. There's.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at that. I was wondering what that was. I thought it was a sprocket.
Yeah, I thought that was a movie reel.
And that was a robot part that was made. It has like a bicycle chain that goes around it, and that was done in CAD. It's steel. It was laser cut, or I can't remember how it was cut by one of our sponsors, but. There were a number of girls on the team that were also in field hockey. So they're there one night and they're all going, oh, my nail color, and they're looking at talking nail color. And I'm like, we have to paint the sprocket. We could do it that matching color, just like your nails. Because, as model car guys, we've sprayed.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, basically, nail color is car paint. If you come tomorrow night, bring 4 bottles of that nail color. I'll bring in my touch-up gun, my airbrush, and some reducer. And they got to learn what an airbrush was and how it worked. Right. And they painted that wheel.
Oh, they painted themselves
to match their nails, and they're like, "This is so cool." So it just. It opens up just another bit of thinking for people that wow, you can do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
That's cool.
I'm trying to steer it back on topic.
Now, my father-in-law still wants me to paint flames on his walker. I'm like, don't think so, Bill. Sorry.
It's not going to make you go any faster, buddy.
No. No place for the flames. So anyway, well, Doug, I'd like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with us today. I truly appreciate that.
You're welcome, and thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
Enjoyable.
Hope you had a good time.
I did. Very good.
If there's nothing else, I guess we'll go ahead and have Jason lead us in the goodbyes, and then we'll each get a chance to say goodbye after that.
Okay. So, in closing, if you haven't, please consider giving us a 5-star review. It helps to push the podcast and make it more popular. And if there is an episode that deserves 5 stars, it's definitely this one. Also, please go check
Best
out.
show ever.
Thanks, Chuck. Please go check out modelpodcast.com to find other great scale modeling podcasts. You'll find a podcast centered around whatever you enjoy building, from armor, planes, cars, Gundam, figures, ships, you name it. There's a podcast over there that will suit your tastes. Next, there's an email in the About section of the podcast. Please reach out with questions, topic suggestions, show coverage. If you'd like me to add a show to the list and represent your show, by all means, send it in the email to the podcast and we'll get it on the list. Then we have a Facebook that you can join by asking. We're asking. We need you to answer 3 simple questions to get you guys onto that Facebook page and start sharing your work. And you can also communicate with us through that Facebook page. You were raising your hand, Brian. At least you raised your hand.
No, I was flying 3 for the.
Flying 3 questions. Okay, yeah. Cool. And that's it for closing.
Thank you, Jason.
Great. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
nice
thank
work.
you.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Matt, why don't you lead us into goodbyes?
Oh, okay. Well, hey, this is me, Luka C. Matt, and I am from the Luka C channel. Check it out whenever you can. If not, whatever. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next show.
Chuck?
This is Chuck from Chuck's Hobby Spot. Thanks for stopping by and listening to this train wreck.
It's called a podcast. Come on.
Thanks, Chuck.
What?
Doug, would you like to say goodbye?
Sure. This is Doug Whyte from Car Muse. I want you guys to check out all these guys' channels, whether they're podcasts or YouTube. There's plenty out there. Do it while you're building.
Heck yeah.
Well done. And Jason?
This is Jason from the Blue Ox Model Shop. You can find me on all of the popular social medias by the same name, the Blue Ox Model Shop. And I'd just like to add, boy, am I proud of you guys. You guys do such a good job.
Thank you.
Wow.
What?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Why are you lying, bro?
My next question is, what do you want, Jason?
Oh.
We forgive you. We forgive you about dropping the ball on that.
Sean's model show coverage. Yeah, that was under the desk that the cat ate, and the bus dunnies took off with.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Bus dunnies. All right. Well, this is BG saying thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating on Facebook page. We do really appreciate the content and conversations that are going on there. That's really awesome. So thank you for doing that. I also want to say thank you to friends of the podcast, Iceman Collections, VCG Resins by Reese, Scale Model Garage, and our new friend, White Tank Hobbies, Mr. Chris Porsche. And a special thank you to Mr. Doug Whyte for participating with us today. We really, really do appreciate that. So, in final thoughts, a hobby is just a thing you do to help you forget about the stuff you had to do all week long to afford the hobby that you like to do. Y'all take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.
Wow.
Bye, guys. Hey, girls.
That's what you come up with at 3 o'clock in the morning when you cannot sleep.
Wow. Nice. So you do your best work at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Either that or a room that we don't want to talk about. Let's end this before I embarrass myself severely.
Too late.
Too late.
So if you don't have a check engine light, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's been because if they plug into your car and your car goes, they haven't messed with me at all, you're good.
Yeah.
But if the car's like, I've been violated in some way, they're like, okay, step over here, please, sir. I miss taking my '89 Chevy pickup in because they put that on the rollers with the tube up the backside.
Ouch.
Poor guy. And he tied that thing down and then he launched it, and I was sitting in that booth and I was like, yeah, that's my truck making all that noise.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Oh, I loved it.
I don't have to take my 88 Mustang through emissions because I got classic car insurance and classic car registration.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't pass anyways because there's no smog pump. It's all straight pipe.
Yeah.
No catalytic converter. Whoops.
It mysteriously went missing during COVID. Any questions, comments, concerns before we go ahead and get started?
Oh, I have questions, comments, concerns, but it has nothing to do with model cars.
Okay, let me just switch off your microphone real fast
Okay.
here. Are we ready? I keep saying that. It's just mostly for myself.
Hey, by the way, that commercial you did was awesome.
Uh-huh. Oh, thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
really liked it.
Is it going on right now?
Yeah.
As we see right now.
Right now.
Right now?
This second,
Right now.
it's on.
I want to hear it.
Right now. Yeah,
Right
actually, I didn't hear it.
Well, if you go on
it's-
Spotify,
It's pretty funny.
if you go on to Spotify and go to our channel, he took the headphones off and walked out.
Who would do such a thing? That's so rude.
Do you know what? Next time I'm at his house, I'm going to put a BG sticker on his chair right there.
Would you please?
So that whenever he walks away like that, it'll have a QR code on there so people can scan it, go to my channel.
So, sorry. I just had to listen to Heather tell me about what I didn't have to. She wanted to tell me that she donated some money to a wildlife thing. So I did not want to interrupt that.
Is that Girls Gone Wild thing?
Not like a Marlon Perkins type of thing?
No. It's like a local to us wildlife sanctuary. And she's like, but they took in like a whole bunch of baby animals. And
I'm calibrating my tweezers.
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I can do your eyebrows later.
Because they're so thin that they kind of bend out sometimes.
Wait,
So
your
I take
eyebrows
it-
or
yeah.
the tweezers?
And then I'll take a little sanding paper and sand around them so they all fit perfect.
Oh, there's your top tip for the week, folks.
Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one that does it. I mean,
No, you're
Not
not.
now.
Cutting the gap on points.
yes.
Exactly. Oh, man, setting the dwell.
Yeah, setting the dwell on your tweezers.
Right.
There's
Yes.
a video for everyone to make.
Mhm.
Setting the dwell on your tweezers. A pair of tweezers that get a little bit of super glue on them once in a while. I just hit them with a lighter and burn that stuff off. And then I have to go lay down because I forget to put a mask on. So I'm like, wow, that was intense.
Great, you're poisoning the world, BG.
Yeah.
No, I'm saving the world from it, apparently. Is everybody ready to come back? Matt's still eating breakfast or something?
Stop it.
Okay. What are you eating?
Meat and potatoes, man.
Nice.
Heather brought
Yeah.
home giant steak and cheese bowls. I'm waiting until we're done to eat mine, though. Because,
Steak and cheese bowls. Oh, man.
well, yeah, because of the diabetes, I can't have bread anymore. So she has them make the sub and then put it in a bowl. So,
Oh, yeah.
That's the way to do it.
sometimes better.
yeah.
I've done that just because.
What do you got planned for dinner, Doug?
I already had dinner.
Oh, nice.
Oh, see, he
Genius.
As soon as we break, I'm going to have a big bowl of ice cream.
I think I'm gonna take.
Oh, man.
I think I'm gonna take Susan out to Longhorn Steakhouse.
Where's Longhorn? Next door?
No, that's just down the street.
Oh, okay.
So
It's so close, it's actually Shorthorn.
So a little bit of backstory for Doug, the why that I make a joke like that.
oh,
When we first started doing this, Chuck convinced me that he lived above a Whataburger.
and actually, that same night, my wife actually bought Whataburger, so I was able to come back in the room with Whataburger.
It was like our first episode, I think.
Right.
Yeah. He
And
comes
co-
walking back in with a
coincidentally-
shake. I'm like, what? You really do live above a Whataburger?
Coincidentally, that's what she bought for dinner.
It was like some kid on the cusp of not believing in Santa Claus, and then something magical shows up under the tree on Christmas Day. Wait, maybe I was wrong.
He's like, "You're so lucky." I told him I worked there part time.
Right. Yeah, we
Like,
said we did the drive
he
through.
was,
That's why
like,
you had
he
the
was
headphones.
buying it hook, line, and sinker, and I thought to myself, where did we get this guy?
Oh, wait a minute. Mike's not here.
Wait, oh, here comes the boss. Hang on a second. Let's see if he's got a report for us.
Look busy.
Podcast stuff. Just working hard.
Podcast stuff. Look at me. I'm
Give me a
typing.
pat on the back. I'm good.
Oh, yeah. Better check your back for a sign.